Hi, this is Mark Meir, the voice of Commander Shepard, and you're tuned in to the EnteR ChazmaN podcast, my favorite podcast on the Citadel. ChazmaN and Phoenix, let the conversations begin. To the Normandy.
What's going on, everyone? EnteR ChazmaN here, and we're back once again with another week of the EnteR ChazmaN podcast, where, as always, this is your place to hear all of the major video game news and other sorts of nerdy news that has tantalized me and my buddy Phoenix, and our new guest friend, MetalGamer. But yeah, if you guys don't know, also check out some of the auto locations on screen, if that's what your preference would be. Check out the highlights throughout the week. And of course, we would love to hear any sort of interaction or engagement or questions or comments. Anything you guys have, please do leave those down below. So as always, hey, what's going on, Phoenix? And we have a new friend, MetalGamer. Did you want to introduce yourself, buddy?
Well, I found him when I was trying to escape your basement. I was digging through the air vents, and he just fell out. He was like chewing on a dead rat, so figured I'd let him join our conversation.
That's true. He asked me personally to join him because I had some interesting stories from beyond the depths.
He's one of our more interesting friends, so figured he'd add some spice to our sometimes bland conversations because, you know.
Well, we've been trying to get him on for the longest time, and we finally did it. We just need to get the others all involved as well.
We'll see. We got to vet them still.
Cool.
So what we normally do is I normally go into a tease for some of the topics for this week, but holy cow, man, we have a lot. I guess I'll try and breeze right through them. We have me and I played 2 games this since our last podcast. Phoenix played a few games, it sounds like. We have a bunch of speed. Well, what was it? Lightning round. Now it's speed run. So
yeah, speed run news. Yeah, we changed our segment. Just video game themed speed runs. Just felt more on brand. So vote in the comments, the two of you who are watching, and let us know what you think. So.
Yeah, he didn't even ask for approval from me. He just went ahead, changed my everything I had.
We decided a long time ago this is no longer your channel. I'm running the stream now and doing the settings, and they're my segments. This is the EnteR Phoenix MaN podcast. So
he pulled an Order 66 on my own channel.
Hey, remember, I have control. Like right now, I can just make your face disappear. He's gone. So.
Nonsense. That would ruin everything. My face is what makes it better.
It's just sort of like getting a pin I can draw on your face while doing the podcast. It's great too because if he can't see this, you guys watch this on YouTube or whatnot. You guys get to see the after effect and the post production. He has no idea what I can do to him.
What, do I have a handlebar mustache now or something?
Ooh, hold on, let me find an image. No.
Actually, you probably look pretty nice with a handlebar mustache. You should try it.
I think I should.
I really want to make some chibi animations of you. So, like, as certain things happen on the screen, it's like a little animated ChazmaN going, hoo-hoo! I don't know.
But a couple of our major topics for the day, other than the speed run, we have like 4 or 5 topics for the speed run, so we'll surprise you with those. Our major topics for the day is we're going to be talking about 343 and their continuation of ruining Halo, or I don't know, that's what kind of the internet has kind of perceived them as doing. We are kind of late to the game, but we did want to at least talk about some of the announcements that came out of Gamescom over in Germany. There also was the D23 Disney event that happened, what was that, yesterday? So we'll talk about some of those. Well, the game-oriented. Did you guys actually get to see the actual event, or just the games set?
I started to watch some of the extra stuff. Like, I didn't watch it live. I started picking up on trailers, but there's so much there. I think let's just focus on the game stuff for tonight.
Just the games?
Yeah,
okay,
there's enough there to dig
I didn't get to watch it. Okay. And then finally, I got to watch WandaVision, which is something that on our previous episode I told Phoenix I wanted to do. I'm becoming a Marvel fan again, huh? The movie's disappointed, but some of the shows are catching me.
Yeah, Marvel tugs at your heartstrings. One minute you're like, yeah, go Marvel, and you're like, oh, I hate it so much. So it's hard to be in that relationship.
They have so much content on that app, the app now. It's just like I guess it's kind of hard not to like something, at least, because they have so much thrown at you.
Yeah, you throw enough at the wall, something's bound to stick, so.
Mm-hmm. All right, so what did you guys want to tackle one of the games you've played, or do you want me to choose? Or
why don't you go first, because yours will kind of flow back to back, because, you're running through that whole series.
Well, if you guys don't know, on the previous episode I did mention that in celebration of God of War Ragnarok, which comes out, I think that's November 9th or 10th.
Hmm.
I had only ever played God of War 1. So I am like kind of blast through the entire series now that I got a PS5. And luckily it's possible because on the PS5 they have literally every single God of War game on the premium plus or whatever that the thing I have. But basically I can kind of stream every game. I kind of wish they gave you the option to download them versus stream them, but
Well,
we'll
I thought
talk
they
about
did
that.
for the because you're playing the PS2 ports of God of War 1 and 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
I kind
Yeah,
of
they don't
swore you
give you
could
that option.
download the PS2 ones. I know the PS3 one they force you to stream, but I could be
Really?
wrong.
I didn't see any option for that. I mean, I would have definitely preferred to download unless I just missed it or something.
I
But
could be wrong. I mean, I know like when it was still PlayStation Now, like for a lot of the PS2 games, you had the option because they could emulate some of the PS2 stuff on the system. PS3 though, there's no emulation. That's the biggest issue. That's why people still go out and buy PS3s because the only way to play it is on the actual hardware. I guess now through the cloud stuff that PlayStation's doing, but that's a whole different topic.
yeah. So Metal Gamer, did you have a PS5? Not yet. You have the
I'm
any
not
of the
as
new.
cool. I'm
That
not
was
as cool
cool.
as you guys. Yeah. I have an Xbox Series X. That's always nice.
Oh, that's
So,
nice. Cool. At least you got
yeah.
that. I mean, it's probably not a great financial decision on my behalf, at least, to do all that.
It is getting a lot easier, I think, to find the PlayStation 5s.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been, like, for like a week straight, PlayStation had them on their PlayStation Direct page. So, I mean, they're getting more available. Granted, they're pushing you to buy the Horizon Edition, so they're kind of
Yeah.
jacking up the price a couple of ways, but we'll get to that later.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I'm veering
Anyways,
you off.
no, you're good. So once again, I had played God of War 1 before, so it was basically a replay for me, but I don't know, it was a nice little refresher to kind of get reacclimated with the story and how everything began with the series. I don't know. You guys, what were you? Did you guys ever get to play the very first one?
I played the first one. Played the first one. I like started the second one a couple of times, but never finished it. And then I watched a buddy play through most of 3. The only one I actually played all the way through myself was the newest one on the PS4. So the remake, not remake, reboot, I guess they'll call it. So the first one and the most recent one, the ones I played. What about you, Metal?
I played the first one, and I have the second one as well. So I did play it. Didn't play 3. So I don't know. I just didn't catch my interest at
Isn't
the time.
I believe 3 is the one most people consider the best one, or at least before 2018 came out. That was like the perceived best one.
I suppose. I don't know.
Yes.
I didn't really hear a lot of fanfare one way or the other about it. I mean, 'cause I said I only played the first one, so as far as my kind of perception of it, that was the best one. That's the one I played.
Really?
Um,
Okay.
Yeah.
But man, I think people probably liked 3 primarily because it was the end of the story. I know the whole point is he goes through, kills all the gods, and that was kind of the finality to it. So I'm sure that had some almost like Halo 3 vibes, right? You have to finish the fight kind of deal. So
Yeah. And now universally, I think most people like 2018 the best, or it seems like, or maybe that's recency biased. For some
maybe
people,
whenever
I
you
don't
get to
know.
that one, I have some things to say about that for sure. But
Yeah.
But how'd you like
Okay.
1? Because you played 1 in the past, right?
I have played it in the past, and it held up really well. I actually found myself really enjoying the game. Um, I kind of talked about it on the stream I was doing, but like, if it felt like was that game like the first like generation of hack and slashes of its time, or where like 'cause I feel like it was like the start of that, because right at about the same time like DMC and some other like Bayonetta games were starting to come out, Dante's Inferno.
I don't know if it
I
was
feel like it popularized that.
Yeah, it probably popularized it. I wouldn't say it's the start. I mean, you had games similar in that genre before then. Trying to think of some off the top of my head, but I think that was probably the first one that really, I think, developed it in such a way that made it mainstream. It almost had like an arcade kind of feel to it, which I think probably made it simpler for a casual gamer to kind of hop into.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, the gameplay is super fun. I really enjoyed that. I would say though, for me, definitely with the first one, the strongest aspect that I personally enjoy is I'm a big Greek mythology fan. So like just the narrative and I don't know, just the plot, what it has going on is almost definitely my favorite aspect. Just how they're able to kind of work in Kratos's, relationship is with the gods, why he's working for Athena to essentially try and gain favor with the gods, to remove his memory from this traumatic event and all of his previous wrongdoings with Ares and everything. All of that stuff is really cool, and I kind of like how they work in like his downtroddenness about why even like to the fact that like why his skin is white, which is that's because that's the ashes of his family that he brutally murdered accidentally due to Ares, and I don't know, all that stuff's really cool. I feel like the narrative and how it works in like Pandora's box and all the Titans and stuff. The first one's really cool. Same thing with you guys. Was that your favorite part, gameplay or narrative or anything for that one?
I'll let you go,
It's
Metal.
been a long time. It's been a long time since I played that game. But I can easily say that just the boss fights for me were just absolutely fantastic. I remember a lot of them being like super huge and epic. And it's
There's
almost
some
like,
like the Hydra ones.
The
really
Hydra
cool.
one. I found
Yeah,
it was at a thrift store or something. There was like a PS2 demo disc of just the Hydra fight. I thought it was pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah. But no,
That's
I
always-
agree. The boss fights were really fun on there.
Yeah, there's
like
cool ones. There's like the Minotaur. There was like a
Yeah.
robotic. Sorry, go ahead. I keep
No, I
cutting
was
you
gonna say I completely agree with you on like all the story stuff, but man, they really handled that gameplay so good.
It
And
is
it's part
really
of the It's probably one of the reasons why I got into it heavily is because of that.
Yeah, I think the gameplay was probably the main reason that kept me with it. I mean, I did like the story a lot, but the gameplay is what kind of hooks you into it. I think kind of pulls you along. I think it would probably help though from a story standpoint, at least for me. Like it was a very dark, kind of like moody, angsty kind of story too. And like I was like a 13, 14-year-old listening to Linkin Park at the time, so it was right up my alley. So
He's always yelling in that game. Ares.
should have had a band.
It gets even worse when you get to 2. He's always yelling, Zeus! Zeus!
He's so angry.
Yeah, so
But then
two,
he-
I don't know much about at all. Like, did
You want to move on to it already, or you want to?
oh, I'm sorry, I'm jumping ahead. I guess I'm just
No, you're good.
like, from your
Finish your
opinion,
thought,
like,
go ahead.
did the gameplay evolve enough going into two, or did it feel just like extending God of War like the first one?
It felt very much like an extension to me. Like they did add some like couple new weapons. There are some like additional moves that you can do by pressing the left. Like what's different is that if you hold on to the L1, that gives you like a different offset. If you press like circle triangle, it gives you like a different move. So there's a couple like additions that they added, but for the most part, honestly, I think I mentioned it when we were hanging out just the other night. The two expands upon a couple little things, but I very much preferred 1 versus 2. And I think it's purely because of the narrative. I feel like the narrative and the lore building and the kind of world, everything that it's building up just feels better. And when it gets to 2 feels more grandiose, it feels much larger, and it's way cooler at the end, but the game as a whole just feels like almost, I don't want to say carbon copy, because it's not a carbon copy. There are cool stuff. But 1, it feels like it kind of runs, does a lot of the similar things, is what I mean.
All right. I'm probably making an assumption here because once again, I haven't played it all the way through, but I know at that time, I'm sure like the first one was a huge hit, so they were of course hired on to keep building this IP out, and 2 ends on a cliffhanger, right?
2 ends. Well, that's why I mentioned it the other night. Is 2 ends on a cliffhanger. That's part of the reason why it was so surprising, though, moving on from 1 to 2, because 1 felt very much like a game that they were a game developer that weren't expecting to be able to get a second game made. So 1 ties a lot of things into neat bows, and it ends
Right, it
with
was encapsulated. Yeah.
yeah, Kratos is just on the throne, and he's now the god of war, and it doesn't feel like it's leading up to anything, even though they do at the end of 1 in the credits they do say Kratos will be back. So I feel like they kind of tried to have their cake and eat it too, where they're like, okay, it's got a nice, neat ending, bows tied, it's all set. Kratos will be back, therefore it gives them wiggle room, in case they are
Yeah.
getting funded.
I
You
guess
know what I mean?
my point with that is I think games that end up being the second in a trilogy end up being in a weird spot because it's hard for them to stand on their own. Like that was my biggest issue for like Halo 2. I know a lot of people love Halo 2. That's their favorite Halo. I did not. Maybe it's just because I played it. I think I was a little late to the game when Halo 2 kind of came out. Like 3 was kind of already like on the horizon, and I loved 3. Partially because it was the whole finish the fight thing, and I thought the gameplay just was improved substantially on it. But I feel like this might probably have some similar attributes with like it really doesn't stand on its own. Like, it does what the first game did, maybe a little better, but it doesn't, wrap things up in a way to kind of have that satisfying conclusion like the third one that is going to have. So I don't know if you would agree with that, kind of running through it.
I mean, I do agree with it. Well, once again, I felt like the meat of the second game was. I mean, the first. I don't want to act like the first one doesn't do it either. Like the entire trip throughout the first game through Pandora, or through Kronos and all of the temple and everything, Pandora's temple. Like that section is like maybe 60% of the game, 50%, and it runs on entirely too long. And then the second game, like you were saying, it does almost the exact same thing where your search for the Sisters of Fate, you're searching for them, and the entire trip to find them is probably like 60% of the game. So it does the same thing where like they do, like between both games they do the same thing in parts where they run a bit long, and there's tons of like fight sections mixed in with like a crap ton of puzzles, which I thought the second one would have less of after playing the first one, and it's the opposite. The second one has maybe more puzzles, and I don't know.
Did you play the second one, Metal?
I haven't played it too much. I got into it for a little bit, and then I just kind of dropped off.
Yeah, fair enough.
I can understand that. Like once again, I thought the second one was really good, but after the opening boss battle section, that game just like it starts to slog, and but versus the first one, the end of the first one was pretty good. I enjoyed it, but the end of the second one leads to like. It's so awesome. Like, I will say, like you were saying, you like the boss battles in the first one. I think that's, again, another one of the things that it does better than the first one is the boss battles in 2 are, like, super crazy. And so 2 has better boss battles, but it has a better end. But as a whole, I like the first one more. I think the first one's a better game, in my opinion.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I'll be curious how you feel when you get to 3. I'm curious how much they really, because 3 is the first one that was on the PS3, so I'm really curious how much it kind of utilizes the power, not just to change like the visuals of it. Because I mean, I remember playing the demo of 3 and then watched my buddy play it, but I don't recall how much the gameplay it really evolved going from 2 to 3. So I'm curious to see if the PS3 influences what you can do gameplay wise.
I should pick that up then. If that's
once again, man, the second one's boss battles are just crazy. The end battle with Zeus is insane. There's a battle with the Sisters of Fate, which is awesome. There's an opening battle with like a Colossus that's crazy. I mean, it definitely ratchets it up. And now when I get to 3, I'm gonna have high expectations for these boss battles and sections. I'm gonna hope they're like even grander.
All right. Cool.
I did want to mention just one more thing. I guess I'll just wrap up these two game reviews into one video. But like the running joke in between the first 2 games, you run into this the very first game at the very beginning when you face the Hydra. There's this boat captain that is in the mouth of the Hydra, and he's like, "Oh, thank you for saving me." And you go in there and you're like, "I didn't come for you," and you just grab the key from around his neck and drop him down, and like you see him again at the end of the first one in Hades. He's like down in Tartarus,
I remember that,
like hanging on a cliff, and you're like. He's like, "You again," and you knock him off.
Kick him off.
And then you see him in the second game, because you have a battle against the barbarian that killed, or that, made you call for Ares for help in the first game. And the barbarian has the ability to call forth dead souls. And one of the zombies he calls forth is the captain, and he's like, "Oh no, not again!" when he sees you.
That's funny.
It's so funny. Like, I'm hoping to see him in the third game now.
Nice.
I don't know.
That's pretty awesome.
It was fun. I definitely enjoyed both games. I'm very much looking forward to 3, and then I guess so. I gotta play Ascension after that, right?
Well, here's the thing. Like, I'm curious. Ascension is a prequel, to my knowledge.
I believe it's between 1 and 2, from what I understand.
Yeah, I mean, do you really want to play it? I guess my point being, I know it didn't get super critically acclaimed, and if you're just doing this from a chronological standpoint, you kind of already missed the spot where you should have played Ascension if it's supposed to be between 1 and 2. So after 3, you could just go straight into the new one if you wanted to. And technically,
I don't want to play Ascension though.
Okay, well, I mean, that's up to you. Actually, I would feel like I'm opening up a can of worms because there isn't just Ascension. Like they've got Chain of Olympus
I've
and
got the
Ghost of
PSP
Sparta,
Forgot about those.
and they have those on the PS3. So you
Do they really?
Yeah, I've got. I don't know if they have them on the service that you're streaming it on, but I've got the PS3 disc somewhere back on the wall that has those, remade for the PS3.
I would totally play those.
Well, if you want to do those, then yeah, I've got those, so you can borrow it.
I have
Maybe
to figure out how to stream
you got to
it.
return my Mass Effect first.
Oh yeah, we'll do an even swap.
There we go.
All right, well, yeah, that was my thoughts on God of War 1 and 2. So, who are each of these games for each of you, or did you, Phoenix, play both of these?
So I played Tinykin, and then MetalGamer played Kaichu, and you played some of Tinykin too, didn't you?
Yeah, right before I jumped on earlier, I played a little bit of Tinykin.
Yeah.
I could jump in on.
Totally forgot the B-roll. I do this. Oh, I do that all.
Yeah. See, you're terrible at this job. I'm changing the logo next week. It's Phoenix Man.
You had it on Kaichu the entire time.
Did I really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I never switched over though. It's all right. So besides me talking about it, the viewers don't know how terrible you are at this job. So
I love your face. I'm sorry.
I'm doing the hosting. What are you talking about? I'm the one doing. I'm doing the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
The heavy lifting.
I'll go ahead and I'll talk about Tinykin. And I do want to see what you thought about MetalGamer. So I don't know how much you know about this game, Chaz. I saw it on. I don't know if it was a Skillet video or some other review or something. But this was getting a lot of critical praise, and they're like, "Oh, it's like a new Pikmin style game." And I haven't been too big on Pikmin games. I've played some of them, here and there, and liked them well enough, so I don't have a huge background with it. Probably the most Pikmin-like game I've ever played is probably Overlord, which I love those games.
For you!
For the master!
For the master!
So, I don't know, and it just seemed like a pretty chill game. It has a pretty cutesy art style. I'll switch over to the B-roll while you're playing it. So I gave it a shot, and I really, really enjoyed it. I think what surprised me about it, I was worried it was going to be a game that I was going to have to, sit down and learn all these systems, and it was going to be kind of this daunting process, which I wasn't really, looking for. This was, the easiest game to play, and I don't mean that from, a difficulty standpoint. I just mean the gameplay and the level design is done so well, your movement and what you do in the game just comes so naturally. I remember when I went into, the first, main world, I felt pretty intimidated at first because you look over, it's kind of this large kind of hub world, almost like I'm trying to think of a game that has similar environments. Think like a big collectathon platform or like a Banjo-Kazooie kind of thing, where you have the whole environment kind of set out and you can see the collectibles everywhere. And harking back to those games, those are pretty daunting games. You think about going through each level and figuring out how to get each piece. This game is not like that at all. As soon as you start moving through a level, you just naturally start doing things, and the game, I should say the level design, just pulls you to the next thing. And
it almost sounds like what is it, Katamari Damacy, where
it's very
kind of
fluid.
Just find yourself moving around, and you're just doing stuff without even noticing you're doing.
Yeah, and there's clearly, I probably went through things a little too quick. I skipped a lot of the dialogue, which I actually was appreciative of. I didn't want to sit there and read everything. But yeah, you just kind of move through the game. You see an objective or something cool off in the, out there somewhere, and you just start going towards it. And then, something pops up. You're like, oh, I'm going to deviate this way. And that's totally fine. You go a certain direction, you complete the side objective, and the level design pulls you right back to where you were. It unlocks a shortcut, so you immediately pop right back. So you're never punished or for taking a detour or something. The game just flowed really, really well. Because I thought honestly,
Wendy's.
Oh, I cut off the B-roll already, so no free advertisement for Wendy's.
Wendy's took over.
Ooh, a Frosty sounds good. But anyway, it was a pleasant surprise. I was expecting maybe play the game for an hour and a half, and be like, oh, all right, I got a feel for it, and probably never complete it. I played the whole game in 2 sittings. It's not a long game. It's I think it'd be 6 hours or something, but it just flowed so well. As it's not a real long game. There is a bit of a story there, and it takes a couple of twists when you start digging into it, which is, for those who care about an interesting narrative, there's something there. But it was a fun little distraction. Definitely recommend it. What were your thoughts on it, Metal?
When you recommended it to me earlier, and I said, you know what, let me give this a shot. So after I played Kaichu, I decided to try out Tinykin, and it was, at first when I saw it, I was like, oh, here comes another Pikmin kind of game. Mm-hmm. But what I do like about it, and you did tap on a couple of things, was the simplicity of gameplay. was the first level is how to teach you how to play. I went through that quickly, but because of how quickly it went, I was able to get the controls really quick, which is really nice. I think that's the main first level. As you run through the first level, you run around, you look at things, and then you kind of like, you already get introduced to like two different, I don't even know what the hell you call it.
The Tinykin?
Yeah, the Tinykin. You get introduced to two different types. And how you go from one area to another is very, very interesting and very, very fun. Actually, they give you a lot of good ways to utilize this current skill set for the level that you're in currently, and they don't make it hard for you at all.
What's nice too is like, I don't know, yeah. Did you unlock the green Tinykin? Did you get that far?
I didn't get to do the green ones yet. I just got the bombs.
Okay.
Red one.
Yeah, so after a while, some of the Tinykin you unlock end up being like basically forms of mobility too. Like the Tinykin ones, you basically make a little ladder, you can climb up and jump stuff. So you use them, of course, to collect things, but you end up using them as like a form of locomotion as you move through a world. Like you're just running along, you want to get more distance on a jump, you just build a little ladder. Like it's like seamless. You just hold down one button and you just leap off them. So everything, if I could pick one word to kind of throw at this game, it'd just be fluid. Like everything about it just goes really smooth. The controls, you're right, were really easy to pick up, which, you think you have like 5-6 different little characters you have to figure out how to utilize. It doesn't feel like you're having to make a decision like that. The game like contextually figures out, okay, he wants to use this Tinykin versus this one versus that one. Yeah. So you're not pressing like a whole bunch of weird button combinations to launch different things. It just happens. So some people might not like that the game kind of feels like it plays itself. I don't mean that in a negative connotation. Like it feels good because of how fluid all the gameplay is.
Yeah, it plays very, very well. It plays super well for what it is. And on a note, I enjoyed a lot of the music for it too. Mm-hmm. The music was very interesting and very like happy. It's a very happy type of like sound, and everywhere you go in a level, it all blends into each other, kind of like Mario 64 mm-hmm. style. So as you go into like this little cathedral, and you go from the cathedral to outside, and from outside you go into like the bar. By the way, that's so silly, the pickups that they got.
Yeah.
The freaking pickups were like honey pollen, so you can make mead. It's mm-hmm. like ridiculous.
There's actually a lot of humor in this game. Like I said, I skipped through a lot of the dialogue, but if you dig into some of it, there's like a lot of throwbacks and like parodies of stuff. There's like a Titanic parody in there with the Rose and Jack, which is kind of funny. It's just got a bunch of random things in there.
I like it. I think it's I played it for like 2.5 hours and on that level in specific, and it was fantastic. I almost didn't want to get off. I realized how long I've been sitting on the couch for playing this game.
Yeah, if you're looking for a palate cleanser, Chaz, between God of Wars, check that out. It's free on Game Pass right now. I mean, free Game Pass, but it's accessible.
So I guess what you guys are saying is when it comes to quality, this game is not tiny.
I'm getting rid of your face again.
Make his face tiny.
It is.
I can make his face tiny. No, I'm not gonna do it.
That is an interesting recommendation because honestly, I was thinking about playing. I kind of want to play Dreamlight Valley, which we'll probably end up talking about later on in this episode. But I don't know. I looking for something to replace Animal Crossing since I stopped playing that, and I don't know. Maybe I'll consider that versus what is this, Tinykin? I almost said Pikmin.
Well, I mean, I don't know, like, if you're trying to plow through all the God of Wars, just kind of knock them out. Like, if you get into that Disney game, if it's anything like Animal Crossing, you're going to dig or sink more time in probably than you want to. This is a game that you're not going to sink more than enough time to get through the levels. Like, it's 5-6 hours if you, like, collect almost everything, and then you're done. Like, you don't feel like you have to go back and replay anything. So if you just want something you can easily digest and feel like you completed it and move on, this is a good recommendation.
Honestly, that's why I liked that one, what was that whole game where you played as a whole and you sucked up
Donut County.
Donut County. I really enjoyed that because that was like, what, an hour and a half? And it was easy. Puzzles weren't all that intricate. Something like another game we like is, was it Little Inferno, I think it was called?
Oh, I remember that one, yeah.
I forgot about that game.
A couple hours long, but, knock everything out, and it's fun to kind of see how things react, yeah. All right, I almost called you by your name. I'm already gonna do it.
Ooh,
Metal Gamer. So you said you played this kaiju game.
yeah,
So I got the B-roll
kaiju.
ready. We'll
Yeah,
let you take it.
it's a super. All right, so what led me to this game? I was kind of digging through, preparing for this podcast. Actually, I wanted to pick a game I've never played before.
Where'd you play it? Was this PC?
This is actually the Xbox.
Oh, okay.
I paid money for this.
Interesting.
So yeah, I know I found that interesting too. But it was on discount, so I played it because it was new, and I was like, "What is this nonsense?" So I laughed about it. I was like, "Ha, monsters fighting and dating. Let me try this out." So I decided to give it a shot. So my initial thoughts, I actually beat the whole thing. So you can easily beat it in about 2 hours, easily. Probably a little less than that, depending. So it's pretty much it's a dating sim. I don't know if you guys ever played a dating sim before, but
Never.
That's how Chaz practices.
Yeah.
so it's
Uh,
dating.
Mass Effect. Mass Effect is the only dating game I've ever experienced.
Hasn't
Oh,
translated well into your real life yet.
Oh boy.
What? I could land in Asari if I wanted.
Uh-huh.
So I used to get into a lot of these things back in the day during Newgrounds, the era of Newgrounds, early 2000s. I used to be in college. I used to enjoy kind of like the idea of the dating sims. So,
Newgrounds.
I know it's
The,
ridiculous.
the days of old.
The days of old. So I picked this up because it kind of reminded me of that. So I figured I'd play it. So the premise of the game really is to see if you can date the whatever kaiju that you got, right?
I hope
So
Godzilla get his groove back.
you're the pink Godzilla. Apparently you're Godzilla with a heart on its tail and on its knees, and that's you. So your goal is to try to date whatever you go, or whoever you're dating with. So the funny part about it is that instead of world domination, you're dominating love. So it's silly. I love the art style. So several things that are corny about it is that the art style is cute. The narrative is corny, but that's in a good way. And while you're trying to date these other kaijus, the government comes in and tries to destroy your whole spiel,
That's just like real life.
just like real life. Yeah. Um, what's interesting about it is that normally a lot of the dating sims, they're very straightforward, and you just kind of go from one person to the next. By no means not like Doki Doki Literature Club. If you guys have ever played that
Oh,
game,
I watched the game. I watched the playthrough of that.
nothing
That,
like that. But
game's
that
crazy.
that game's awesome.
That game's
Like,
insane.
I love that game. Like, that's a dating sim that I found absolutely fantastic.
I watched the entire playthrough. It's
I played it.
crazy.
I didn't even bother watching it. I had to figure out things. Anyway, so this one in particular, so this has an open world, kind of, almost like like a quick Mario open world. You pick your
Yeah.
area that you want to go to.
Like a map kind of thing,
So-
open map.
It's like a little open map thing. You pick a girl or a guy, which is interesting because this is uh has all the pronouns, and it has every pronoun you can possibly think of and then some. So they made up some really strange ones like
I think
Zer.
that would be a must-have if you're having some sort of dating game because you want. I mean, you want everyone to feel represented. That would be like
Yeah,
an odd.
totally.
That'd be an odd thing not to have in your dating game.
I,
don't know.
I guess yeah, that's true. You're 100% on that. They had those, and they had like 10 of them, 10 different types. I don't know.
What
And then
I
yeah,
was just gonna say, the only other dating game I can remember that I know had like hubbub around it was there was that bird. Was it Hatoful
Oh,
boyfriend
yeah.
from a few years ago? It was like a bird. You
Yeah.
played a bird or
Mhm.
something. I remember a lot of people talking about that game.
yeah. That's
But I just another one on my brain.
Yeah, you play as a pigeon.
Or pigeon, yeah.
Yeah. Do you remember the KFC one? That you date
Oh,
like
Oh,
when you
you
were
could
going
be
after
a-
the colonel.
Well, no, you could
Yeah,
be
I
the
do remember that.
different. It wasn't just KFC. It could be like the different mascots for different fast food restaurants. Wasn't that it?
I remember that. Yeah.
no, it wasn't. It was just we love you, Colonel Sanders. That's it.
I could have swore there was
love
one that would like had representation from all the different fast food places.
I
But
would If there is, I would totally play it. But
anyways,
Yeah,
anywho, but it had those, and then after a while, it became a little repetitive. You play one round. They give you 6 slots, by the way. They give you 6 save slots that you can play on. So each one, and this is actually kind of nice of them. They actually save a little bit for you, so they know you're gonna save. And if you don't like the decisions, you can always go back and redo it. So you can get good all the time. So, yeah. So I was expecting something more towards the end, but there was nothing more. You stayed all 6, and you date like a mushroom girl. You date like you date a moth. Which her name is Masra.
Masra.
Yeah.
Nice.
You date another one that looks kind of like Gamera.
I love the idea.
that type.
I love the idea of these monsters kind of being flirtatious with one another,
Yeah.
and then down below, underneath their feet, they're like stepping on helpless citizens who are running away.
So for every good thing that you guys like agree on, you destroy the monument that you're wrecking. If it's terrible, you don't destroy the monument. If it's okay, you kind of hit the monument, but then you destroy the monument if you do awesome, and then you start making out, which is the most silliest thing. Now,
Nice.
yeah, but I think, but this also has this format of question and answer. So you get a question, you answer it. If it's this, then it's either good, medium, or bad, and it's just like that the entire time.
So it's not like a
for
real
2
deep
hours,
system or anything. It's just
no, not by no means. It's
So
it's
just-
a fun, cute game.
So just overall, who would you say this game would be good for? For like people who like dating sims, or is this like a waifu, like some sort of person who likes, I don't know, just dating games? I guess that's the only thing I can think of.
That's a good question. I think it's more for the person who just likes quick games, like quick, fun, cheap, easy dating games.
it's
like,
for those who weren't happy with the way Kong versus Godzilla went down. They wanted to see him, get together in the end of it. So this is fulfilling some fantasies.
Is this the kind of game?
2000 Godzilla. What?
Is this the kind of game where like if your wife walks in on you playing, she's just like she should be questioning things or questioning you?
Oh, I mean, I would be questioning one of the characters. I was questioning myself for a little bit. I was like, why am I dating this really buff guy, this buff eagle, or I think he was a rock, this buff rock who's like, ooh, and I'm just like, okay, so you choose decisions based off of strength and manliness.
So did you get to choose at the end which kaiju you end up with, or you just have to go through all of them?
You just go through all of them.
Oh, see, that's no fun.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like, I think you just end up with one of each. So you see, every one of them has their own story. You get to read the story and stuff, and then you get the.
You should have had to make a choice. You should have been able to break Masra's heart to go out with Gigara or whoever. I don't know.
I think one of the things they could have done is towards the end, as once you date them all, you have to pick one.
Yeah, you got to make a decision.
That would have been interesting, but they don't.
I was just thinking about it. I kind of like how we kind of approach a lot of our game impressions or review vid type oriented stuff. Where I kind of like how versus us normally we don't put numbers on our games we're talking about. We generally kind of more look at it as who is this game for and who might like it. It's very much more of a recommendation type thing. I guess that's kind of what Skill Up does.
He
right?
says
He's
that, but every time we talked about a game, he gives a number at the end. He's like, "Oh, I think this might be like a 7." So
I get. I mean, I don't think so. When have I done that?
Oh, you've done it. I'll go back and I'll make a clip next week on the podcast. I'll have a little quick slideshow of all the times you've given scores to the games. So
interesting. All right, so those are our games. Do you guys have anything planned you're jumping into next, other than me? Everyone knows God of War 3, but nothing else you have planned?
Well, okay, so there is one other game actually I started before Tinykin.
You mentioned the one you were talking about.
Yeah, I'm not done with it. So it's Immortality. I don't know if you guys know anything about this. Basically,
I saw some stuff on it.
It's a modern FMV game, so think like Night Trap kind of stuff. It's weird. I don't have my opinions formalized yet. Like, this is one of those games that you can't just like play for an hour and get. Like, there's some weird stuff that happens. So hopefully I'll be able to finish it. I'm trying to play it with my wife, kind of watching along, playing with me too. So hopefully we'll have time to finish it by next week, and then I'm sure I'll have some stuff to talk about with that, because that's a weird one. But
Cool.
I have another game called Bug Snacks. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
Oh,
Bug
I heard
Snacks.
about. I heard about it.
Yeah, where you get to eat things and become that object. It's that I saw a friend of mine play it, and it looked really fun.
Well,
I
it just
actually
came
have
to Game Pass, didn't it?
It just came to Game Pass. Yeah, it was a PlayStation 5 game.
Yep.
I have it installed on the PS5. I've been meaning to play it at some point.
Yeah, I downloaded it for the Xbox, so it's there. It's just ready to go. I just got to get into it.
Actually, a reason. Oh gosh, I was gonna move us on, but last thing, one thing I really like about Bug Snacks is on the trailer when it first came out. The trailer, the people that did the song was this Japanese British group or Japanese pop British group called Caro Caro Bonito, and they do the main song for that trailer, or the main song for Bug Snacks in general. I really like that. So,
Yeah.
fun fact.
It's a fun bop. I like it.
All right, so I'm going to move us on. So, it's Phoenix. Did you want to get the timer going here in a second?
1 second. There we go. Got the right
So
background.
once again, now speed run news.
Speed run news.
Thanks.
I got a cool
Phoenix.
background too. I know you guys can't see it, but it's awesome. So,
That's kind of cool. I don't mind it. I'll allow it.
oh, you'll allow it. Thanks.
I just want to see Chaz's beautiful face.
All right. So the way this kind of works is we read the premise of the topic, and then we start a timer, and we just kind of go at it. So we'll have to talk a little bit quicker, I suppose, since we have one more person to chop up the 5 minutes with. But that's all fine.
We'll be quick.
All right.
Basically, each person gets their one opinion out, and that's it.
All right. You want to go and set us up for the first topic, Chaz?
Sure. This one, there really ain't much to read out. I mean, basically, DC fandom in 2022 has been canceled. If you guys don't know, I'm guessing all of the stuff is starting to, what is it? What's the term? The chicken is beginning to roost. What I don't know. All the stuff going on with DC and their fallings, starting to kind of catch up with them. I mean, I'll let you guys go ahead. Are you guys sad, disappointed, shocked? Have you guys even watched one of these DC fandom events?
Here's the thing: I don't watch any event anymore, at least not live. Like I see,
I watch all of them. I have no life.
I don't know. I feel there's too much fluff in a lot of them. I like to see the aftermath, like all the trailers and everything, so I can run through all the news in like 5 minutes. So that's what I've done in the past for these fandoms. Like they air, I go on whatever site, Polygon, IGN, Kotaku, whatever, see the big rundown, see the trailers, and then I'm good. I know their rationale for this was that, well, people are starting to get back to in-person events and they want to shift to that. Like they just had, San Diego Comic-Con and they had a presence there. So
that's BS. I think this is totally because they are in shambles and they have no idea what their roadmap looks like, and they don't even know if the freaking what's his name, Ezra Miller Flash movie. They don't even know if that movie's coming out right now. Aquaman has been pushed back multiple times.
They've got Superman a lot of.
They don't know who Batman is. It's just
they just had. It was the head of Warner Brothers, right? He just switched over, or was it no?
It was Discovery, I think. Whoever.
Yeah, well, they got bought out, so yeah, lots of cancellations and whatnot.
Sounds like they're cleaning house.
Well, they're definitely making some different decisions with Batgirl being canceled, and you're right. They have a lot of just I don't even know the right word to say it. Just some PR nightmarish things going on with Ezra Miller and Amber Heard fallout, and just like not a good look for anything DC related.
Ezra just went into rehab last week because he's like desperately trying not to have them cancel the movie. He's like, nah, I'm okay.
Dude, that guy's career's done. Like, I mean, I hate to say that about anybody, but say they're like, Amber Heard, she's done. Like, so they're getting these like fairly main characters in these franchise or IPs they're trying to get going between Flash and Aquaman, and they're just dropping like flies, man. So I don't know, it's kind of a shame, I guess. I don't know, like DC I've been back and forth on a lot as far as if I care about what they're doing. I don't know. I know you're more keen on it than I am, Chaz, so maybe you're more distraught about this. I don't know.
I'm not distraught at all. I'm not surprised. It didn't shock me. I'm kind of just whatever. I'm not looking forward to Black Adam or Shazam 2. Neither of those movies, I think. I don't know. I don't even know what to say anymore. Go ahead.
Yeah, I always feel like their movies are kind of whatever. They're always falling behind on everything, so it's kind of like I don't know.
Their movies, for some reason, are very like formulaic. Like
Mm.
they have the same plot lines, the same arcs for characters. It's I don't even think they're approaching. Has it been 5 minutes yet, or am I?
You still got 2 minutes. You're good.
Okay, I don't even think they're approaching Black Adam the right way. I think Black Adam is supposed to be a an anti-hero, and like he kind of just seems like a hero in this upcoming
Yeah,
movie.
they
It's
don't
like,
want to make The Rock a bad guy, though. They want him to be like they're probably banking on The Rock to be part of the brand, the face of the whole Shazam side of things.
The Rock
Yeah.
is a funny funny actor though. I feel like it's more on brand for him to be a villain than some lovable,
I
like
don't
I
know,
don't know.
maybe, but they don't want him to be a villain who's like one and done. They want to be able to milk him for this franchise in one way, shape, or form. So I don't know. I think that's probably why they're not making him go the straight up evil route. They're probably trying to make it where he can have more team ups in the future and stuff like that, so they can keep him around. That'd be my thought.
Yeah. I mean, he
That
seems
sucks.
like a way of making a lot of money for the company. That's the only thing I can think of. They could have gotten anybody else if they really wanted to.
Hmm.
I'm sure they just went with him for a reason.
Well,
Should've got
he's a
me.
big name. Yeah, she
Yeah, big name. What happened?
Should have got me.
Jazz Adam.
Chaz Adam?
I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal. They've canceled their fandom. I don't know how huge it really ever was for anybody. I mean, I'm sure there are bigger DC fans out there, but you're gonna, regardless if they were in shambles or not, they were gonna, release news about whatever, new stuff they have coming down the pipeline, regardless, whether it be through Comic-Con or individual little events they do kind of off the cuff. So I don't think anybody's really missing much from this being canceled. But
It's not even just their movie side. Like their video game side is also like questionable. Because I mean, what was it? Dead
twenty
Suicide Squad,
seconds.
the game. Suicide Squad got pushed back, and now the new Batman Arkham game. People have been questioning how good it looks.
It's not an
and, I
Arkham
don't know,
game. It's Gotham Knights, not Arkham.
Gotham Knights, whatever.
Oops.
All right, final 10 seconds. Any last thoughts?
No, that's it. That's all I had to say.
I don't care.
Like, leave me alone.
If I had a fart noise button, I'd press it to end this topic.
All right, there is the timer. I'm going to go ahead and reset it. Chaz, why don't you go ahead and prep us for the next one?
All right, so something very close to me and Phoenix's heart. I don't know about you, MetalGamer, but one of my personal favorite games of all time. There is a movie being made about the original BioShock video game, and that game or that movie has been in development heck for a long time, and just recently sounds like they finally found their director, their person to kind of helm this project. Let me see if I can see who this is. So Netflix announced on Thursday that
Francis Lawrence.
yeah, known for his work on the Hunger Games series and 2005's I Am Legend, will be directing an adaptation of BioShock's 2007 BioShock. See, Logan
He also
and Blade
did
Runner,
Constantine
2049.
too, which I thought was interesting.
I love Constantine. That was a
Yeah.
great movie.
That was a good.
Very underappreciated comic book movie. A lot of people don't talk about, in my opinion. One of
Keanu.
was that the downtime for Keanu, or was that him when he was hot? That was like in the downtime.
That was like
right?
trailing off. Like, I can't remember if that came out before or after the last
That was
Matrix.
after Matrix, I think.
Yeah, I liked it though, but that's just me.
Yeah.
All right, I'll start
But
the timer.
overall, I mean, for you guys, I mean, how do you feel? I mean, are you looking forward to the BioShock movie? I mean, video game adaptations to film are always
Hit or miss.
hit or more miss than hit. But I mean, what do you guys think? Are you looking forward to it?
Go ahead, Metal Gamer. You start out.
Well, I liked BioShock 1 a lot. I
Love
got
that
into
game.
it pretty hard, and to be honest, because of the way a lot of the video game adaptations have no high hopes for any of this. But it's all. I mean, this is also, I'm also the same guy who's like, hey, look, Butthead just came out. I'm gonna go watch it, and it's like it's the same old stuff, which I enjoy. So, in my opinion, I think I will watch it because I like it, and I will probably criticize it. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it's just fun to watch. I guess it's just fun to watch the movie.
I
Yeah.
I'd be very curious to know like what direction they're gonna go in. Like, are they gonna do the typical Rapture undersea thing with Fontaine and all that stuff?
I
Or are
think
they...
that's the issue. What is the BioShock story that's going to fit
You
well?
could go in any direction. I mean,
Like, are they going to
like,
try to just do a one-to-one of the first movie? Or not movie, I'm sorry, the first game? But that's tricky because your character was a voiceless protagonist. Like, he had a story, but you were just kind of, filling the shoes. So they have to flesh that out, which is going to be tricky. And whenever you try to do something one-to-one, you're just opening yourself up to criticism. I am also worried, too, because it's a Netflix adaptation. And they don't have a great trend when it comes to all these adaptations. Like, they just had the Resident Evil show, which
I tried watching it. It was really bad.
my wife watched it, and I watched pieces of it, and I was not, overly impressed with the bit I saw, and critically it has not done well.
Episode.
Yeah. So that's a worrying thought. I mean, looking at the director and the writer, there's definitely some, nice credits to their name, so that's encouraging, but I don't know. I don't even know what BioShock story I would want to see play out on the screen. Honestly, I feel like a BioShock Infinite story would play out better in a movie than BioShock 1. I think BioShock 1, there's too much around it. I don't know. It'd be hard to kind of narrow down what the plot is. Like, are you doing it before Rapture falls? After? Do they have to find some side character? Like, I don't know. That'd be hard.
I'm excited. I can't wait to see Jack Black as the main character running around.
His name's Jack, right? That was the protagonist's name?
Killing all the splicers.
That's what they do. Just make it a comedy, like a dark comedy. And then we're good. Cast The Rock as Andrew Ryan. And
Kevin Hart, the usual suspects.
Just get the whole cast of Jumanji in here.
Oh,
Freaking, Cohen can be freaking Hart.
Let's just get Kevin Smith in there.
No.
That's another thing, though, is like you were saying about the direction, what the style they're going to go for. I mean, for people who have played the first game, that whole first game hinges on that shock and surprise of what happens with Andrew Ryan and everything. And it's like, for people who know that story and know where things go, it's like, would that be an entertaining movie if you know what happens with?
That's true for any video game adaptation. You could argue that's true for any adaptation, period, whether it be a book or a game. Like, those fans who have read the other medium, they know the twists and the turns coming up. So that's, honestly, this movie I don't think would be for gamers. Like, it would be something that is going to be marketed towards a broader audience that just cares about watching movies, not necessarily playing games. Like, they'll get some of the gamer audience, but let's be real, that's not what I think they're really going for here. I had an example I wanted to mention, but it slipped my mind of another show
But is Nana going to want to see mutated humans underneath the sea?
Well, not Nana. I'm not talking about like your grandma, but there are like other other people who are maybe in like horror movies or thriller movies that really don't play games. Or they're just a little older. Maybe games isn't a medium they interact with well, but movies are. And BioShock, I mean, it's a really cool plot, it's a really cool location and narrative, so there's potential there. This is just going to be a hard, I think, narrative to tread through and find the right script, the right narrative that doesn't piss off all the gamers, and at the same time also serves a comprehensive, kind of competent story to other audiences.
Yeah. You know what it kind of reminds me of, actually? I don't know how much more time we have. But...
7 seconds.
Just finish your last thought. Well,
I was just gonna say, I just hope, I don't know about you guys, but I still have the Uncharted, and
I didn't get to watch that one.
That's the movie I was thinking of.
I did not like it at all.
If you are a fan of the game, you hate that movie. Like, I hated watching it, but it did really well because most people didn't care about the movie. They just wanted to see a fun action movie with Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland, and it sold well because of it.
What are you talking about, Drake? You can totally make that jump.
That's pretty good. They should have hired you for Sully. You probably could have got a better mustache too. Just saying.
I'm sure.
Sully was the one that pissed me off the most. I was like, dude, that's an old guy. What the hell?
Yeah.
Why is he look so young? And then I was like, Tom Holland, why?
They could have handed him the script for the happening, and it would have been the same outcome.
Anyway, let's continue on.
All right, next topic.
If we want to discuss that, we can discuss that next time.
Yeah.
Right,
so we will move on to something a little bit more downish, but just the previous, this is probably about a week or two ago, Sony made the odd decision, or I don't know, if may have been smart on their half, but they made the decision to raise the price of PlayStation 5 consoles in certain regions. So Jim Ryan said as of, well, I don't know when, this was Thursday of some other week, but the company will increase the retail price of PS5 in Canada, Mexico, Europe, the UK, Australia, Japan, and China, but not apparently in the United States.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure these prices are live now, too.
Oh, so they've already gone live probably by now?
I think so. It was either like early this month or end of last month, because this news is like 3-4 weeks ago. Maybe not 4 weeks, but it was like 2 or 3 weeks.
I think in terms of like price point, I think in each region it's about a $50 increase for, well, if you compare it to the American dollar.
I did a pseudo breakdown. Like for euros, it's about 50 more euros. If you're doing by pounds in the UK, it's about 30 pound difference. So it's increased enough that it's definitely discouraging. So.
And another thing that's very discouraging about this is I put it in the notes, but a couple weeks even prior to this, Sony had raised the price of the Quest 2. Facebook or whatever that.
Sony didn't raise the price. They don't have any. Facebook raised price, yeah.
Meta did.
Meta, yeah.
Why do I have that in there? What does that have to be?
They followed a similar update.
I see.
Well, here's the crux that they're all kind of falling back on. Like, there are still chip shortages, part shortages, and they're, to keep up with demand and, the price hikes for all the parts, they're raising the price, passing it on to the consumer, essentially. Mm-hmm. It's just such a bad look. Like, not that I inherently, I get why they're doing it, but here's the thing. It's a bad move for one, because this is a really competitive space right now for the new consoles, right?
Oh, absolutely.
The Switch or I should say Microsoft and Nintendo both came out saying they're not changing the price. So they are eating whatever, cost is coming up here. So that's just a big ding against Sony. And some of these markets are tough.
That...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Now, I saw some people saying Xbox should lower their price, and I was just like, why?
They don't need to now.
They don't need to, yeah.
Like, now they just stay the same, and they're still going to look like the good guys because of it. And then there are some different arguments why they're not raising it in the U.S. Like, I guess some people are saying, well, the American dollar is stronger than it was 6 months ago. But here's what I think the real thing is. Like, in most markets, Sony still has an edge on Microsoft. Like, I'm pretty sure over in Europe, they're still higher. Same thing with Japan. In the States, though, it's getting a lot closer. And they probably don't want to, give any extra wiggle room there for Microsoft to have even more of an influence over the market. Because, say what you will about Microsoft, and they've all gone back and forth on, consumer-friendly practices. But it's, good friend Microsoft right now. Like, they're making some pretty friendly decisions with how they can benefit consumers. And Sony's coming across pretty harsh.
It's just going to further lead into another topic right after this, too, about Xbox over making the right moves, apparently. But
the other thing, too, I'm sorry, I know I'm taking up all this time, but Sony kind of stealthily already raised the price of the PS5. Like I was mentioning this earlier, like right now you can get a PS5 a lot easier if you go for that Horizon bundle. So you have to already pay an extra, $50, $60 just to have that version with that digital copy of the game. So technically, if you want to get a PS5 right now, you're paying, at least in the States, $560 is, whatever comparative it is, across the
I got mine right before they did this too. So well, actually, it doesn't affect us in the US anyways.
But still, that's how they kind of hit the US market too. And though they aren't officially raising our cost or our MSRP, they already did by adding the Horizon bundle. I think that's specific to the States. I could be wrong, but that was our price increase. They just didn't formalize it as such.
I wouldn't be surprised if they start pulling out like more limited edition bundles just to do that.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of on brand for Sony though, because remember they raised just this generation, they raised the price of games. All of their games are brand new titles are $70 versus $60.
But that was coming into the generation. Like, you set a price. And I'm not saying that I agree with that, but coming into something, you set whatever the expectation is going to be. So they were shooting for that $70 mark, which yes, it's already crappy, but I can't think of any situation ever in gaming where as a console has been released, it's gotten more expensive at a random point, unless it's just been supply and demand, like people scalping it, like the actual MSRP jumping up. It's always supposed to get cheaper. I know there's outside or external influences with shortages and whatnot, but man, this is one of those times as a company you should try to take that hit, especially when things are as close with the competition as they are right now. So
One thing I would be very curious to see how this affects, and something I just thought about, but I know at some point a lot of people have been expecting this year or next, or at some point next year is the announcement of a PSVR 2. I would be very curious if they're having such production issues. I wouldn't expect. I mean, if you're gonna, I would think you'd be affected heavily. Like I would think you would push that off as long as you can.
Oh no, that's
until
coming.
production is better to start putting that out.
I don't think it's about production. They're making units, but they want to get that out. They want to start selling that hardware because they probably have a lot of investment in that hardware right now. I'm pretty sure they already have that slated to come out early next year. Like
It was supposed to be out this year, but I believe people have speculated that it got pushed back already. So next year at some point.
I think it's less going to be more of a pushback thing. I think it's going to be the price that we end up seeing on this VR2 headset is going to be obscene.
How much was the first one? Probably 4 or 5.
The first one, I don't even know what the original retail was, but it's like $200 to $300 right now. There's our time. So,
Okay.
well, that will lead us into the next one, though.
Yeah. Here, I'll let Phoenix. You want to do this one?
Yeah, so you dubbed this subtopic "Salty PlayStation." So, I mean, as everybody who's been following gaming for any period of time recently, they know that Microsoft is trying to get their hands on Activision, Blizzard, and King. Is that what it is? Or Candy Crush? Yeah.
Microsoft owns them now.
Well, no, they're trying to. That's part of the deal. Activision, Blizzard, King.
Deal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, they're trying to get that to go through regulations, and it's been this big hullabaloo of going through different people reviewing it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and they're getting some more pushback. But one of the big things that everybody's arguing about is, okay, well, Microsoft's going to get Call of Duty and can make it exclusive, and Call of Duty's this big golden goose kind of game that if you take that away from Sony, they're going to crash and burn. I think that's like the big fear or something. So Microsoft came out trying to be like, oh no, we're going to play nice. They had good conversations with Sony back in January, being like, oh, we're going to let you have the game for several more years, being all...
They said 3 years.
Well,
there was a
that's not
offer deal.
Okay, but here's the thing. They didn't publicize 3 years. You got to think wording here. Like, they were coming across very PR friendly. Several years could mean anything. So that's how Microsoft was phrasing it. And,
it's totally a PR thing, yeah.
But that's, I think, what just ticked off Sony, because I guess they didn't want to disclose any of this, and then they fired back after Phil Spencer came out, discussing how things are going well on the Sony Microsoft front, and Sony's like, well, not really. We were pretty offended by the offer they gave us. It was 3 years, and we don't think that's right for them to be keeping Call of Duty away from PlayStation owners. We want to make sure PlayStation owners get the best Call of Duty experience, blah, 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 blah. And I guess Microsoft, their proposition undermined Sony's principle on the matter. So I don't know. That is the current kind of argument or the feelings with Sony versus Microsoft. So take it from there.
Ultimately, for me, it's like I do think I just named it Salty PlayStation because I wanted to be an annoying.
They are salty.
Sound like an annoying fanboy or something, but ultimately, to me, it is two mega corporations fighting over, an IP and money and stuff. So,
it does affect the consumer though. I don't want to act like it doesn't. Like, depending on how this deal plays out, that's going to impact what platform consumers go to. So, I mean, yes, you have two mega corporations arguing it out. It's not about feeling bad for either of them, but there is a fallout here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Well, actually, no, I did mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, MetalGamer. I want to hear what you have to say.
Oh gosh, I just think that it's like you said, it's two corporations fighting over just something ridiculous, like a big franchise like Call of Duty. Like it's just
they're like two kids where they're like, it's my toy, my toy, my toy.
Pretty much. And you know what? It's they're blocking off. If it does happen that way, they're blocking off a whole entire fan base who's like, obviously, who plays that game heavily. So, I mean, I just think it's very hypocritical because, like, I mean, you don't think me, who's owned an Xbox the last few generations, you don't think I wouldn't have wanted to play Spider-Man? Like, I've missed out on Spider-Man. I mean, now I can play it, but there were generations where I would have loved to have played
Yeah,
the
it's very
new Last of Us
disingenuous
or-
of Sony.
Yeah.
Like, here's the thing: exclusives have been a thing going back till the Sega, Nintendo days, and they've all been vying for here's the reason to be on our platform. So for Sony to be upset that Xbox is trying to make this IP exclusive is pretty disingenuous and hypocritical, because they do it with all the franchises that they create or they own, and you're the ones they don't. Like, they go out and they just bought Bungie. Now, they haven't made Destiny exclusive yet, but for the longest time content was exclusive on Destiny on the PlayStation platform. So I don't know, at least Jim Ryan's kind of take on this and his comment against Phil Spencer.
Ryan's been very annoying since he's taken over PlayStation, man. He just keeps saying stuff, and it's just like, I don't know, dude, just be quiet.
Yeah, and here's the thing too, like, everybody, or I know, like, the UK is even trying to push back against this acquisition, but I don't feel, I'm not a big fan of all this consolidation. I do not feel that Microsoft owning Activision Blizzard or the like is going to be a monopoly or is going to ruin any of these other platforms. I mean, here's the thing. So if we're worried about Call of Duty, if that's the only game we're really concerned about here, the Switch hasn't had Call of Duty. It can't even run the dang thing. So, and they are the best-selling system, or pretty close to it in most markets. So clearly Call of Duty is not the thing you must have to be a successful video game company. So Microsoft getting, whether they do full exclusives 3 years down the line, or if they do some other kind of licensing so Sony can still have access to the IP, that's neither here or there. Sony is going to be just fine one way or the other. This is just Sony not wanting, they don't want to have more competition. They're afraid of this competition that Microsoft is going to start posing if they get that many IP. And to be fair, Microsoft becomes really, really appealing if this goes through. I mean, they're already looking more appealing with what they're offering on Game Pass. They get all the Activision stuff, meaning all the Call of Duties. You get all the Blizzard stuff, so Diablos, and all the, like, it's a huge win for them, and I get that, but it's still not going to kill Sony.
Yeah.
They have plenty of IPs they can feed off of anyway. Like, they have a bunch of publishers and stuff too that create fantastic games. So I don't see what I get it, but they'll be just fine.
Ultimately, I'll say it again. Ultimately, to me, it seems like two little children playing over a toy truck, and then you got Nintendo sitting in the corner eating crayons. It's just like, I don't know.
We need sushi.
Still got 45 seconds.
45 seconds. I don't have anything else to say. I mean, ultimately for me, it's just, I don't know. It's like trying to pick sides when Epic was suing Apple for the percentage of revenue on the Apple service for Fortnite. It's just like, I mean, yeah, Apple sucks. They're charging, I think they were charging like 30% of transactions that were
Which is
run.
fairly standard. Here, that's the thing too. You have to think about, like, right now, if Call of Duty sells on PlayStation's storefront, PlayStation gets 30% of all that sold. That's really what this is about. It's them losing out on their platform percentage. If it goes on Xbox, they lose out on that, or they have to pay Microsoft because of it.
Yeah, I don't think there is a perceived good guy, bad guy here. I mean, I would say maybe Xbox is probably on the right side because they're the ones who have actually, like, put forth the capital to purchase this item. So it's like, well, it is theirs, or will be. I mean,
It's their game. They should be allowed to handle it however they want. And I don't know. As I said, I'm not a huge fan of all the consolidation. I definitely understand the argument against it, and I agree with it. But I don't think this is going to be the end-all, be-all. It's not going to be a monopoly. In some ways, I'm hoping it ends up being better for, Activision Blizzard employees if Microsoft takes over. So there's, I think, some good to this acquisition. So I hope it actually makes it through.
So where are we at? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
That's our speed runs. So it went smoothly enough.
Do you want to tackle this next one like a speed run as well, or did you just want to do you have a lot to say on this one?
I don't know if I have a lot, but I know whenever we talk Halo, things go on a little bit longer.
Right,
so
you know what? Turn 5 minutes on. We'll turn this into another speed run because I don't have a heck of a whole lot.
All right. Well, hold on. I've got to turn my icon on now. I'm making things difficult for me. Hold on.
I'll let you do over this one.
I'll intro this one.
I know. I got the timer. We're good.
And as the largest Halo content creator channel on the YouTubes, as we are known, as people know us, basically Halo is furthering, kind of just ticking off people in general and turning people off, in my opinion, to their their newest game of Halo Infinite. If in a recent, what was it? Just an update. It was a pretty anticipated update, though, from what I understand from the Halo community as a whole, because a lot of people have been wondering what's going on with some of the co-op and Forge-oriented things. But basically, what Halo, the updates that they put out was a couple decent things, but mostly a bunch of bad news for people who like Halo Infinite. So, what they've said is that now Season 2 will extend into March, which Season 2 was, or that Season 3 was supposed to be coming up, so now that's been pushed back. They still have 2 new maps that are going to be coming out sometime in November. The Forge beta is now slipping from September to later in the year, which, once again, it's just more content that's just being moved around, pushed back. The biggest news for a lot of people was now local co-op split screen is canceled. Online is still a go. Their reasoning for this apparently is that they wanted to allocate or reallocate resources towards building a better live service and furthering their live service commitments. And I guess just my overall kind of take.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, I guess my overall just take on this is a main question is just, which I've seen other people like IGN on Unlock, they asked this question, but is the live service model hurting Halo?
It's not about it being a live service model. It's about the way this company is handling live service. Like, Halo with constant updates could be great if it was handled like Apex or Overwatch or whatever, where every couple of months you get a new map, you get a new battle pass, you get a whatever. That's honestly would be really good for the multiplayer side of things, because there would always be a reason to come back to it. The problem is this is not being handled like a live service game. Like, a live service game has updates every couple of months. This game has been out almost a year now. We're only in the 2nd season, and that 2nd season has now been extended however many extra months. It's gonna be like a 10-month-long season.
The 3rd time it's been pushed back, I think.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. And here's the thing, I advocate, I think, for 343 prior to a lot of this, because I will say, as far as like where they finally gotten to with having like a core gameplay for Halo kind of like ironed out, they finally found it, right? Halo Infinite, I thought, played really well. It was a good modern realization of Halo. The campaign wasn't terrible. The multiplayer core was pretty solid. But now you have to take that and do something with it, and they're showing that they don't have the capability to do that. And that argument about dropping local co-op, something they promised, by the way, they said way back when in Halo 5, when people were mad about that they are going to promise that future Halo games will have local couch co-op, because that's a pillar of the Halo gameplay. Mm-hmm. And now they've canceled that, so they can allocate resources to live service. This is not some budget indie studio. This is
That's
Microsoft's like... They hired them specifically. Microsoft, the guys here, just spent $70 billion to buy Activision Blizzard. They could chuck some extra money at 343 to get some more developers to make local co-op work.
This is the developer that Microsoft gave Halo to. How much more resources could you possibly need?
And it's not gave to. They built this studio for Halo. Like, yeah, that was it. And that Halo is arguably Microsoft's biggest, most recognizable self-created IP. So the fact that they wouldn't be willing to throw more resources at it to make it work, and we know they will do that because they delayed the entire game a year before it even came out to give them more time to make stuff work. So there's some stuff not working behind the scenes at 343, which is disappointing.
Sorry, do you have anything to say, MetalGamer? I know you're not a
I have nothing to say to this. No. I just think it sounds ridiculous.
I get ranty about this. And I'm not even like the biggest Halo guy. I know you wouldn't know that coming from these podcast discussions, but
I know.
It's ridiculous. Like, I do like Halo. Like, I go through spurts, especially when a new one comes out, that I get into it for a while, and I dig back into the lore, and I enjoy playing through especially campaign co-op. Like, not that I care as much about the local side, to be honest with me personally, but the fact that they didn't even have co-op at launch, I thought was super disappointing. And you saw, too, that local co-op actually works in the game. People found glitches to actually make it work.
People found glitches to make it work.
Granted, their issue might be that it works well on the Series X. It may not work so well on the Xbox One, and they don't want to, make that call. But
there's people that have been making the argument that this team put so much time into correcting bugs and fixes. If they put that much time into creating content for the game, it would just be so much more successful.
I don't think that's fair.
Why are you correcting bugs though that people think actually makes the game experience more fun? Like the airplane. What is it? The thing you
the Scarab gun.
That's that doesn't hurt. That's not taking money away from Halo or 343. That's not
Bug
hurting
fixes
the game
though and
experience.
stuff like that. Like it's here's the thing too. A lot of times those are different departments. So it isn't just like, oh, just because I'm fixing a bug, that doesn't mean we're not working on content. Like from a game development standpoint, these teams are siloed. So I don't think that's a fair judgment. I think those are people not understanding the behind the scenes on how these teams work. Like you have a team that is for QA, bug testing. You have a team that's for developing new content and working on, multiplayer. Like just because one team is fixing bugs, that doesn't mean the other team's not working on content. Now, it might mean that other team is sucking at making new content or maybe going a little slow on it. But that just because you see an update about a bug being fixed, that's not a fair thing to say, oh, well, no, they should be working on making a new map for Halo instead. Like, I don't like that argument personally.
No.
Maybe that's just me being ranty.
Stop pushing back on me. I didn't think I was going to get any pushback there.
Oh, that's all.
I thought I was in the clear.
No. But no,
No,
I'm sorry.
yeah.
We're 10 seconds if we're sticking to this timer. I told you I'd be ranty about this.
I'm fine. I mean, to me, it's just, again, it's just what resources could you possibly need? I mean, you're supposed to be like the flagship title for an entire console, and I don't know.
I don't think it's a resource thing. I think there's a management issue behind the scenes. There's something bigger going on here that they're not alluding to. This could be one of those stories we hear about. Jason Schreier is going to throw up on Bloomberg about all the terrible things happening at 343 over the past. I say Bungie 343 over the past 8 years with the Halo development. Some big insider thing.
Can I throw one more idea? I know we're at 5, but
hey, I didn't want to put the timer on in the first place. I'm getting rid of it.
Oh, you're fine. I just have one more idea. Something someone else mentioned on on another podcast. I think it was Unlocked. Is something that Microsoft has totally brandished and has totally talked about how they like doing now is they like giving freedom and being very handoffish with some of these IPs, and they boasted that they did that with Halo, where they gave 343 a lot of wiggle room and time and all that stuff, and I think Ryan McCaffrey on the Unlocked podcast said something to the avail of like, is it a problem that Microsoft is so handoffish with their largest IP? Like, do they need to have a tighter squeeze on 343? Unfortunately, because you want to give your devs wiggle room, but if they're not performing, or a developer, if they're not producing, I mean, hey man, you gotta hit, I want to say, I almost said hit them. You gotta hit the nail on the head,
Well, there should be milestones and goals. Like any business for any product, and even though you say they're being more hands off, there are still goals and milestones they should be reaching, and you can be flexible with those. Like if you're trying to give a developer wiggle room, you can stretch out their dates, you can give them more resources, whatever it may be, for them to hit a milestone. But there still needs to be a milestone where, like, if they don't hit this, if they don't succeed on this, yes, the publisher, whoever's in charge, should intervene. Now, I'm sure that's happened. Like, here's the we don't really know what's going on behind the scenes, what Microsoft's really doing. They could have been micromanaging this whole thing for all we know. Maybe they have ruined. Maybe they pushed the live service aspect of this, and that's what messed up 343. We don't really know. As I said, well, I think we'll find out 10 years from now what really happened behind the scenes with Halo Infinite, but I will say whatever is happening behind the scenes is not going in favor of this game. Like, I don't see it coming back. I mean, Forge is going to help. Whenever Forge does finally release, if it's solid, that's going to bring back part of the community, but it's never going to be what it could have been. This game could have been the best Halo ever if they could have actually come out strong out of the gate with all their features intact and could support it in a true live service every couple of months getting support. And that's
the foundation for this game was there, man. We talked about how much we liked the movement, the gameplay, the shooting. It all felt great. Problem is just that the content wasn't there, unfortunately. I don't know. The story was okay. I mean, it could have been better, but PvP was solid and fun. It just, I don't know, they just didn't support it. Their whole, what was it, Tenrai event and all that stuff. It never, I don't know. I didn't like how they operated their leveling up and all that.
Yeah, they don't handle I was gonna say 343. They don't handle live service well. Whether that be a Microsoft thing or a 343 thing, they don't understand live services for whatever reason it is. But I don't know. Are you ready to see someone else besides 343 take the reins, or you want to make a Halo Infinite 2 and try to do better?
If I'm Microsoft, when it comes to Halo, I have the red alert blaring. I mean, I think it's time you find someone else. I mean, the problem though is like
Well, they invested so much in the
They
studio.
invested so much, and the studio is named after Halo, so it's like, I don't know, man. I mean, maybe. I mean, they're supposed to support this game for what was it? This is probably a several-year supported game, so
yeah.
maybe continue let them doing that, and you give the next game to some other studio. I don't know.
Maybe a Halo spin-off kind of thing with one of the new Activision studios. To have the Call of Duty devs make a new Halo.
Maybe. I'd still say, man, I think Microsoft best thing to have going is some of the Bethesda stuff. Like, I would love to see id. Give id, man. Give id software. I love what they did with Doom. Shoot, give them Halo. I don't care. You know what I mean? Find somebody else.
I see. I'm still nervous about that. Like, this is why I wasn't keen on initially saying another company should take over besides 343. Because it took 343 a long time to figure out how Halo is supposed to feel, and modernizing
they figured it out. The foundation is there.
You give this to id, it is not going to be Halo. Like, id makes a very particular type of game. Like, the Dooms and stuff they've created are incredible, but that's Doom. Like,
you don't want to see Master Chief blasting his arm through eyeballs and
honestly,
ripping off limbs.
I don't. Like, it'd be funny. No, but like, it'd be interesting to see a take of Halo like that. But that's not what's going to appease Halo players. At its core, there needs to be that Halo gameplay. And you give it to a developer like that, and they're going to inject their DNA into it, for better or for worse, and it's not going to be Halo. So, I don't know. I feel like there needs to be like a whole different developer that isn't already making a certain type of shooter take this over and try their hand at it. Maybe that would still give them a chance to kind of keep that core Halo gameplay intact. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know.
My very last thought before moving on is it's crazy if you look at how well supported apparently Destiny is with Bungie, and it's like you could have had Bungie still with you if, I don't know, you had to let them go, and now Destiny people still love going back to Destiny. I don't know.
Oh, there's more what is it, water under that bridge, or however you want to say it. They're like, they didn't just let Bungie go. There was a lot of bad blood there. But that's a whole nother argument.
Yeah,
I won't go into that rant.
It's fine. This is officially the last time we talk about Halo.
Liar. If I could tell all the times you've lied on this podcast, man, your nose would be growing.
All right, so we're going to move on to a major event. Not major event, but a big event that we missed that I definitely wanted to at least touch on. Had a couple interesting things, but over in Germany, in Cologne, there was Gamescom, which is always, it's one of the major events. I mean, what would you say? In years past, there was always E3,
Gamescom,
Game
Tokyo
Awards,
Game Show.
Gamescom, Tokyo Game Show, which I think Tokyo Game Show is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Soon. Yeah.
And I think PAX is another one too, right?
PAX, yeah, I forgot about PAX, yeah.
Yeah, PAX is really isn't it more indie focused though? Or am I wrong on that?
Still games. I mean,
not true.
At the end of the day.
So I actually didn't think there was a heck of a whole lot. I felt like this Gamescom was a little slow, but I did have a couple major announcements, and I don't have everything. But the stuff I felt was the most interesting, I at least put down here, and I don't have much notes on. I just have. We'll just talk about what you guys think about the announcement in general. So one of the more interesting things I thought was there was a new Dune game that was announced called Awakening, which is an open world survival MMO. I mean, any interest from you guys in Dune? No.
Dune's cool.
Doom game.
I don't have a lot of feelings one way or the other about it. I know, isn't the developer for this the same developer as doing with that Conan Exiles game?
Oh, I don't remember. I don't have that.
Pretty sure. Which that could be a really good thing in your eye or a really bad thing. Like a lot of people liked that Conan Exiles game, from what I understand. Plenty of people did not. So take that for what it's worth when evaluating what this game is going to be. They revealed nothing about this game that I saw. Like
it was a very basic trailer.
Yeah, no gameplay, cinematic kind of thing. So if you're into Dune, cool. I mean, Dune's an IP I don't think they've really ever fleshed out too much beyond like the movie and
couple movies.
Yeah, so
I actually really liked that newest movie I saw. I watched it on a flight. It was pretty good.
Yeah, with Aquaman. He had to leave his own movie, so he had something to still do. So
pretty good. All right, so I can see you guys are just crazy excited about that. So we'll move on to I don't know, something really cool is Sony revealed a new controller. They showed off the DualSense Edge controller. Now I didn't actually look into what this does, other than I mean, I'm assuming it probably has like replaceable triggers of some sort.
It's Sony's
something
Elite.
like that?
I don't think you can replace the triggers, but it's got like the paddles on the back. The coolest thing, this is what everybody was talking about, is the entire joystick can come out. So like on the Elite, here's the like first Xbox Elite. You can pop off a little cap on the joystick, but it's still the same joystick. On the PlayStation, whatever it is, Dual Sense Edge, whatever it is.
Dual Sense Edge.
You can take out the entire component of the joystick and replace it. So people are like, that's basically going to help you eliminate stick drift, which has been an issue on pretty much every controller this generation. So, granted, we don't know how much that part's going to be. So, is it worth?
They even give a price point for this thing, or I didn't even look.
No, and that's what's scary about it. Like, especially when you're considering they're raising prices. Their controller is what? It's $70 right now for just the base controller.
I've got 2 controllers and one's still in the box, so I'm good for a while.
I'm gonna wager this thing's gonna be, man. Oh, it's more than
150, 200, yeah.
Like I would say 150, but they might go lower. Like I know the Xbox has dropped the price to their Elite 2. I think it's $130 now. So Sony might try to get close to that. Like I don't know. I just know they've raised prices already, so they're definitely not willing to pass off or eat the cost. They want to pass it off to consumer right now. So unless they're going to make a big flip when it comes to these controllers, I'm expecting this thing to be very pricey. Maybe it's worth it to you. I don't know, but I've had bad luck with some of my Elites, like the new Elite that came out. Yes, this is a Microsoft thing, but spending $150 or some on a controller and then stupid little things break on it, like I've had bumpers break or like buttons not respond. Maybe the Sony one's gonna be better, but that's a big investment, and I don't game at that level to really care about having all that.
I've got a couple issues with my Switch, man. Both of my Joy-Cons on my Switch drift. Some of the buttons aren't responsive now. My Pro controller has drift on one of the analogs too, man. All of that stuff is like, huh?
Better go send them in. They're doing them for free, pretty much.
Well,
if you're within a certain time frame, I doubt you are at this point.
No, I'm not.
Actually, I don't think that's true because I just sent mine out recently and they did it for free, no problem.
Did they? Oh, maybe I'll check it out.
I did both of them.
Oh, I've got a couple extended then. I'll check.
Yeah.
And they replaced the rubber thing on it too.
Oh.
So everything, I was like, cool, okay, I'll take it.
Good guy, Nintendo.
So something else that's very dear to me and Phoenix is they officially announced a sequel to Tales from the Borderlands, which although that's not done by what was the name of the company? They're out of Telltale. They went out of business, so this is officially done. I'm assuming by 2K.
I don't remember exactly who. I think it is Gearbox. But
2K,
to my knowledge, a lot of the writers were original writers from the first game, so they hired Telltale staff. I don't know, how much control they have ultimately, or if there's other influences from writing. But I'm hoping they let those guys do their thing because that's I
really enjoyed the first one.
Yeah, from a narrative standpoint, that's the best Borderlands thing that exists. Like the first Tales of the Borderland. Did you play that, MetalGamer?
I did a little bit, but I didn't get into it too heavily.
It starts slow.
You guys like 3 the most.
You're funny. I think I'm hoping I watched the trailer and it looks like they are going to continue at least threads from the original story. I saw some of the old characters in there, so this should be good. I'm curious what the gameplay is going to be like. Are they going to stick with that Telltale style since it's not really a Telltale game anymore? Is it going to be like a different type of game just with that kind of narrative added to it? I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting.
Would you still play it if the twins were the main characters?
You're ruining this for me, Chaz. I'm just saying.
The best characters in all of Borderlands. But yeah, overall, I would say for me, I'm super excited. I'm as long as it's similar to the first one.
We'll find out.
So we're gonna move on to the next game, which Phoenix has dubbed Poop. So, what do you guys think about Poop? Are you excited?
Why are you reading my notes? These are hidden. They're supposed to be secret from the viewers, all 2 of them.
I thought the trailer for Poop looked really good.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean that title as a indicative quality of the game. I just wanted to say something weird in the chat. Thanks a lot, Chaz. You're ruining everything.
Yeah. Another game. Something I'm not crazy about is Souls-likes, but I know this is probably maybe the most anticipated game from this event. There was a game called Lies of P, which apparently it's like based on Pinocchio.
Dark Pinocchio.
Yeah, Dark Pinocchio. What do you guys think? You excited for another Souls-like? I'm not.
I haven't played almost any of them. There's very few like true Souls-like games I've gone through. Not that I'm against them by any means. I just usually, I don't know, it's either the setting or whatever just doesn't quite appeal to me. Like I'm not a big fantasy game player in that regard, so I've
I just
avoided
don't like
like
the game style. I don't like the gameplay. It's
I don't
just
mind the gameplay. I'm okay with a hard game, so that doesn't really bother me too much. But I don't know. It looks cool. It was throwing off. What is it? Remember those Alice Madness games, Return to Madness?
I like that game. I like that one.
So it kind of has a. I mean, I don't know if it's quite as horror-y as that, but it definitely has that kind of dark, twisted feel on the narrative. So I think that might be kind of cool to see that with Pinocchio spin. I might try it. I don't know. I said I'm not huge on Souls-like gameplay, but I'm not against it either. So.
I think more particularly, people were saying the theme of this game reminds them very much of Bloodborne more than like the Souls-like. Because Bloodborne's a more modern, I think, thematically time frame.
Bloodborne's a game.
But yeah. Another thing. I'll just move us right on. Something you guys really like is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. The multiplayer game got announced. I actually really liked the trailer. If you got to watch it.
Yeah,
it's made by the people that make a lot of those other styled multiplayer games. What is it?
Friday the 13th.
Friday the 13th and Evil Dead and Predator.
Mm-hmm.
That's exciting.
I'm pretty excited about this. Like, I'll tell you, there are few horror movies that have ever like got to me. Killer Clowns from Outer Space. That scarred me when I was like 7. Walked into my uncle's like den. And it was like I was seeing the clowns shove people into cotton candy cocoons. Ruined me, man. I couldn't look at clowns for like 20 years. But honestly, I've kind of gotten over that. We went to Halloween Horror Nights a couple of years ago, and they had Killer Clowns as one of the scare zones.
Supposed to go with you guys, and I couldn't get out of work or something stupid.
So it's a lot of fun. Like looking back at it now, it's such a fun, campy kind of horror thing. I'm happy to see it kind of make a resurgence, and the game looks pretty cool. I like that asymmetric style game where like some of you play as the horror monster or whatever XY, and then everybody else is trying to escape from them. So I'm assuming it's going to be like that, unless everybody's just playing as clowns. But
what are you gonna do? Knock my block off?
Yeah, we'll see. I think it'll be very exciting.
I'm excited. Yeah, and I would almost all of those other games have been semi-budget titles, so it's probably only going to be $40-$50. I know all the other games. Evil Dead, I think, was like 40.
Yeah, the nice thing about those games is they're simple. They do one thing. They're not trying to be this big expansive AAA thing. Like I know with Friday the 13th, it was just straight up asymmetric. One guy's whatchamacallit, my brain just stopped. Jason, man. I want to say Freddy, and I knew that was wrong. So yeah, Jason and everybody else are the campers just running around, and it's simple. I doubt you could play that for like years on its own, but
I know like Dead by Daylight attempts to do more with that style, whereas like those games, like you said, they're very simple. I know Dead by Daylight attempts to do a bunch of different things. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah, I know. Like we could have like a whole bunch of different serial killers, but I kind of like that these are just so focused. Like it's this very just like pure experience.
I want to play the Evil Dead one. I still haven't played it.
Yeah, so I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Did you have anything to say on Killer Clowns? I don't know if you got anything in. No?
I'm good. I like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Actually, when we went to Halloween Horror Nights, I kept pointing out clowns to Phoenix because I wanted to see him get scared. Of course, it
was my wife who got scared the whole time, though.
That was the best part.
Chasing her around with the chainsaw was great, but
oh man, that was wonderful.
Sorry, we're good.
Oh, go right ahead. No,
I was gonna say, I was gonna move us on. I mean, the last major announcement I felt like that was of interest from this Gamescom event was Dead Island 2 finally got announced. That's what they ended the show with. This game that had been in development heck for so many years, it finally seems like it's getting pushed through, and I think it even comes out super quickly. So like the next few
early
months.
next
year, I think. Yeah, like February or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, I mean, I had fun with the first Dead Island. I know Phoenix did when it first came out.
I don't remember liking it very much.
Really? Oh.
I mean, I played it. I don't know. Like, I remember getting to a certain part in that game, and it was like that was a long kind of like.
Well, we played it together. I think online.
I remember getting like to the first islandy area, whatever it was, and I feel like it took forever to get there. And then I got into like it was like the first sewer level. I was moving to the next main zone. My game crashed, some bug happened, and all my progress was lost. And I'm just like, I'm done. And then I realized I was only maybe like even a third through the game, and I felt like I already put like 12 hours into it. Maybe I was just bad at the game, but I don't know. I felt like it was kind of bland at the time. Like it was fine for what it was. That was back when zombie games were a dime a dozen. There were 30 different zombie games, and like you had Left 4 Dead, which for me was pinnacle zombie gameplay at the time.
Dead Rising was pretty high at that point.
Yeah, and this game just didn't do it to me. It also too like you remember the first trailer for the first Dead Island, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, and that like with the girl falling backwards out of the window, it was like and everybody was lauding that as this huge like awesome trailer. The game is nothing like the tone they set up in that trailer, so it kind of felt like a bait and switch to me the whole time. Like when I'm playing, and like this just doesn't.
Hoodoo, you voodoo. It was like that whole rap song.
Yeah.
Better get out of sight.
Was that
Hoodoo,
it?
you voodoo. Yeah. Hoodoo, you voodoo. I remember the song.
I remember the first. May I'm remembering all that. The first trailer was like this very kind of like downer kind of thing. I could.
Well, no, you're right. It was a trailer, but that was the opening to the game.
Oh yes, okay.
There's like a rap song.
You're right. So the game just had this really weird like juxtaposition to the trailer, so that was kind of jarring. And the gameplay itself was just okay, and then like had that bug hit me, and I was just kind of done. So, I mean, I looked at the trailer for the new one, and it looks good, I guess. I don't know. It's very gory, far more gory than I think the first one was. Like they're like punching holes in like zombies' faces, and like you see the empty cavities and stuff. So I mean, cool. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm based upon the first one. I'm very hesitant, and because this has taken so long to even kind of resurge at all, just makes me leery of the whole thing. So I don't know. I hope it's good. I mean, for those who are anticipating it, great, but. This is very much going to be a wait and see for me. I got to see how it actually plays out.
Yeah. What about you, MetalGamer? Are you tantalized by the zombies?
I'm like hit or miss on it. When I played Dead Island, I played it, and then as I was playing it, I'm just like, okay, I'm stuck on something or whatever, and there's like a million zombies coming after me, and then they just kept killing me. I'm like, you know what? I think I'm done. Yeah. It just kind of got really like, I don't know.
It got tedious, and the narrative was not that engaging. Like nothing really like pulled you through that game. And the gameplay I didn't think was good enough to pull you through that game. I know like my nephew loved it, so he played the crap out of it. So I watched him kind of finish the whole campaign. So there's clearly a market for this game. It just wasn't for me. Apparently, maybe not so much for you either, MetalGamer.
The demographic is nephews.
That's it.
Yeah. I would just say for me, I think something that's coming back to me is I do remember kind of liking the game at first, and I remember I didn't start really liking the game until I started using cheat codes. And then the cheat codes make it more fun because you're running around like just blasting.
Yeah, because you're not dealing with all the strict mechanics that make you die every 5 seconds. And
at that
point, I remember because the
Borderlands like that, and then that's it. You just kind of go ahead and just do a blast off and keep on.
I remember because that was a game where like all of your weapons would destroy after a few hits, and you're just like, well, my weapon I just built is gone now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, but it I don't know. Watching the trailer, it seems like they're going a different route with it. Like the gameplay I saw did not look like the first game. I would hope it didn't, because that game's like how old now? So maybe this will be a whole different feeling game. So I'll give it a chance. I'm just as it going into it, kind of cautious with which direction I might go.
Mm-hmm.
No expectations for me.
Fair enough. All right.
There is one game that I thought that was interesting that you didn't put on. I was looking at it, and the what is it? The Gearbox Bethesda game that they're throwing out there, that the RPG one. It's called like Windsword or something like that, or
Windsword. I don't remember that.
Apparently they're like, apparently that's one that it's supposed to be like taking place in like a fictional version of Portugal in the Middle Ages.
Oh, yeah. That's the weird. It's not Bethesda. It was Obsidian, wasn't it? That's the one we were talking about. That's like the unless I'm thinking it wrong, the like graphic novel-y looking thing, kind of 2D. Is that what we're talking about? Or is that something different?
No, you're talking about the Obsidian game.
Yeah. Maybe
That
I'm
was
misreading him.
I don't know what he. But the only reason I wouldn't have added everything is because there were some games that we had also talked about in the Xbox showcase or the Xbox event, so I may not have put it in there because we had already talked about it previously.
Well, maybe this game doesn't really sound familiar then. It's not the one I'm thinking of. I don't know. It went past my radar.
Mm-hmm. That's the only reason I wouldn't have put it on there is if we had already talked about it, though.
What was the name of it?
Word Song?
Word Song.
Word Song?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's supposed to have some like really RPG mechanics with like combats and questing, and I don't think it's.
Are you talking about Silk Song? No.
No. Word
Silk Song is the game that's the.
I mean, there's
Shovel
no
Knight
gameplay or anything on it. It doesn't seem like.
Yeah, I can't find anything about it. Wind Song or Word Song?
Word Song.
Word Song. Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah. I don't know. It looks interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
yeah, we'll let Phoenix look at it.
Oh, I see. Word Song with a Y. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks pretty. They don't. It just seems like a pre-trailer or what, or some trailer of like.
'Cause I didn't watch every day of Gamescom. I only watched the first day's show.
They seem to have. They seem to be having some other games that look pretty cool.
How do we miss this? This thing does look kind of cool.
Yeah,
what is it called?
By the people who made like freaking Elder Scrolls and Fallout.
Word Stone?
Word Song. WYRD Song.
I mean, the trailer looks interesting. That
I'm kind of reading about it right now.
Like this looks pretty.
That looks cool. I didn't see it. I missed that somehow.
Yeah, it just seems like a
Backing from NetEase.
Apparently, it's in pre-alpha right now, so it's kind of like, and it's gonna be on, I guess multiple consoles since it's Unreal Engine 3, so Engine 5, so it should be.
No, they don't have much info on it at all.
No. From what it's
that is interesting though.
Yep, 13.2 mil.
Yeah,
interesting.
Well, the art looks cool. I'll keep that on my radar.
Yeah. All right. So, anyways, if we ever get more gameplay or anything, we'll definitely talk about that one. I missed that one though. All right, so we're gonna move on to our second to final topic, and the Disney or the D23 Disney Video Game Showcase. Tell you what, I'm not gonna go into every announcement because I didn't think everything was super interesting. I'll just let you guys check out the notes. But is there anything? I mean, did you guys both get to watch the actual game showcase?
I watched the trailers after the fact because I told you that's what I do.
I mean, was there anything in there that you guys thought was noticeable? I mean, I know the biggest thing that people took away from was the Captain America Black Panther gameplay trailer.
There was no gameplay.
It was cinematic.
I mean, I saw the trailer for it. I mean, cool, I guess. Like, there's literally... I'm not a fan of these, like, little teaser trailers that literally show you nothing about the game. Because that could be anything. Like, once again, we just talked about Dead Island, like, doing a cinematic trailer and the game being nothing like the trailer. So, I like the Captain America movie. I don't know if I'll like the game. I don't know. This might be fine. People are talking about it being like this awesome looking game, but I don't know what they're looking at. So maybe I'm missing something here.
Hype. All the hype. Forget about it.
Everything out of this event I already knew about. I mean, the only thing that was kind of new was the Disney Mirrorverse. Did you see that with the Disney villains?
Yeah, that's a mobile game though, isn't it?
It's a mobile game, yeah. That's what I mean. A lot of it was mobile oriented, and mobile is just not my bag. I'd rather have a controller. I don't like touching a screen. I don't know.
Yeah, that's fair because, to be fair, mobile is what the best, like, most profitable platform.
Oh,
like,
revenue generator. Yeah, it's the biggest one.
So, I mean, I definitely get why they're going that route. And, I mean, to be fair, some games can actually turn out really well from a gameplay perspective. Like, Diablo Immortal played really well mobile if they didn't have such a crappy system around it. So, I'm not anti-mobile games. I think it's just rare that you have one that really, I think, plays well and appeals where, like, a core kind of gaming audience. But, I don't know.
I just thought about it. Why was Aliens there? Does Disney own
We
Aliens?
talked about that. Yes.
Apparently they do.
Well, here's the thing. So Aliens is a 20th Century Fox owned IP,
Oh, and they
and
bought
Disney
Fox.
bought Fox. I forgot all about that being part of it. So that's a weird thought to think that Disney owns Aliens. You know what that makes
Yeah.
me wish it would have done? Do you remember? I know Chaz, you remember this at Disney World. They used to have that alien encounter,
Alien Encounter.
but it
Yeah,
wasn't
I
real
remember that.
aliens. Now there's an opportunity to bring it back and have real aliens in it. That would be the most horrifying thing. I remember that scared the crap out of me as a kid. So,
Yeah. I mean, honestly, for me, there was nothing else that really stood out here. I mean, maybe the Niantic. I mean,
I
I
was
don't know
gonna
if you guys
mention
know,
that.
it's like a Marvel Pokemon Go type game or something.
Yeah, where you can be a superhero. I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know how that's going to play out in AR, but we'll see. I mean, Pokemon Go is still very much a thing. It's still doing very, very well. So who's to say this won't be the next big thing? I think the weird thing is like Marvel, though. At least to me, I feel like it's on kind of a downward trend. I think in popularity. Maybe it's just I'm looking at it from my my perspective, but I don't feel like this game's gonna land as strongly as they're wanting it to. Like when Pokemon came out in AR, like Pokemon is still like the world's biggest IP. So of course that was gonna do well. The Marvel stuff is still big, but I don't know. Maybe because they didn't really show like any kind of gameplay, so I have no idea what it's supposed to even be.
Didn't
But
they cancel that Harry Potter Pokemon Go game? I
oh, there
don't
was
think
gonna
that
be a
did
Harry
very
Potter
well.
AR game.
Well, that came out like a year ago. It was already been out,
Oh,
but I don't think it was very
that's
popular
just
like, at all.
Oh, wow.
That's the hard thing when you try to go after certain franchises like that. If they're not like really hot at that point, I think it's hard to capitalize on it sometimes. You're always kind of late to the game. But Marvel, I mean, is still big, so maybe I'm just being pessimistic about it. I just feel like at least when I look at the Marvel kind of landscape right now, it's kind of flatlining in some areas, but it could just be me. So
I hate to say it, there was only one thing I was interested in seeing, and it wasn't here. Do you know what it is?
is it going to be one
wa-
of the Insomniac Marvel games?
I wanted to see Wolverine.
Yeah.
We didn't get anything more from Wolverine game.
Yeah, I'm not super surprised about that. Because as much as that is a Disney Marvel thing, that is also very much a Sony thing. Like Sony, I think, is wanting to keep like those big cards, especially right now with all their competition with Xbox. I think really close to the chest, so they have control over when they kind of reveal stuff, make sure it's presented in the best possible light, and it's going to help them push their consoles. I think we'll hear about some of those going into the next year. I think I was reading somewhere. I mean, they are required. Sony is to discuss games that are going to be sold next year as part of their just earnings report for the following year. And at least Spider-Man 2, to my knowledge, is supposed to be a game that comes out next year, and we've heard nothing about it. So that leaves the opening for the next month or two, Sony to have their own event and at least talk about Spider-Man, maybe Wolverine. I don't know exactly the time frame on that one, so I think there's still hope to see those, but definitely before years out.
Yeah. All right. So since it seems like you guys are so blown away by these announcements, do you mind if I move us over to the one thing I wanted to show you from the Ubisoft event?
Sure.
Was there anything else you guys had to say here? I mean,
No, I didn't watch the Ubisoft because that just aired tonight, right?
a few hours ago. I watched that at like 4. It was live or something.
Okay.
Let me guess.
Um,
Just Dance? No.
Yeah, they announced Just Dance.
Of course
Another
they
one.
did.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
It's the first one where they're not going to be on Wii. They're
Oh, no.
avoiding the Wii.
Oh no.
First one in a while. But I'll try and pull up an image for you. But this is the one thing I took away from that whole event. I don't know if you guys can see my.
I'm putting it up
monitor.
on. There we go.
Ooh.
This is I can already tell people were infuriated by this when they showed it. But so this entire event was very Assassin's Creed heavy because this is the 15th anniversary of the video games franchise. So the first hour of the show maybe was normal Ubisoft stuff where they showed basically nothing new, and it was all just live service, continuation, content-oriented things, and other titles that people had already known about. But the last half hour was this big 15th anniversary thing, and man, I'm telling you, they were building up to like showing something like super mega incredible, and it was so incredibly baffling just exactly how they showed off what is here. So I'll explain what's here if you don't know. But it's basically a roadmap for the next 2 years for Assassin's Creed. And for 2022, I mean, you get a last DLC chapter for Valhalla, which is cool. But then when you get to 2023, look at how confusing all 5 of these are different things that are coming out next year that are Assassin's Creed. And I'll
I
show.
don't think is on the horizon mean 2023, like, or is that like several years down the line?
I
Because
thought or maybe that's what they meant, but
I don't think
yeah, I mean maybe you're right.
Well,
but
Assassin's Creed Infinity they've been talking about that for years. That's going to be their live service Assassin's
that's
Creed.
one of the
Yeah, yeah,
5. Yeah. So basically, they announced Assassin's Creed Mirage, which is their 2023 Assassin's Creed game, which is takes place in Baghdad or something, which is kind of interesting. But then when you get over here, I was watching it live. At the end, they just start spewing all of these code names at you, and it's just like people were so baffled that and they didn't even show gameplay for Mirage. They just showed a cinematic, and it's like people were expecting them to show gameplay, and it's like no, they were just like they showed a quick thing for this, and then they went on to this. So, codename Red is apparently that's feudal Japan. So they announced these things that people have been expecting and wanting, but they just announced them so crappily. It's just like I'm assuming it's more of an investor thing that the way they kind of announced this.
I think that's
I'm
probably
assuming
what
that
this
means
is.
they're doing bad is because they're just like, oh crap, we got to give investors a reason to fund us for the next couple
Ubisoft
years.
has been. I mean, they've been trying to put themselves in the market. I think for a while. They just had was it Tencent just bought a huge
Do
portion.
you have
of them?
this image up so people can see
Yeah,
it? I don't
yeah,
know
it's
if
up.
Okay. I didn't know. It would be hard not seeing it.
Yeah,
Go
no,
ahead,
I
sorry.
mean, I think this is very much an investor thing. Like, here's the thing. Like, I would imagine at least, definitely the Infinity stuff is probably still very much in the oven, right? I doubt they have a lot of any gameplay to really show they're confident with. Probably similar with Mirage. I would imagine they're further along with that, but if they didn't show anything, that means they probably feel like it's not ready at this moment. And
They didn't show
2023
anything.
could be, next like fall, winter kind of time frame. So we could still be a year out from that Assassin's Creed. So this feels like something they probably needed to. Once again, as I was saying with Sony, they need to throw out games and things that are coming out next year for earnings calls and stakeholders. So that's probably what this is them listing off the stuff they're about to, not to start developing, but they're releasing in the next year to 2 years, just to give, those stakeholders, something to kind of bite onto. But Ubisoft has been in weird stakes for a while now. I know Tencent, I'm pretty sure it was Tencent, just bought
Pretty sure.
49% of, not Ubisoft, but the, was it Guillermo? What's the name of the family who owns this?
Yves Guillemot?
Yeah,
Yves
Guillemot. Like what is it? The organization or the entity that owns Ubisoft is named after their family name. I think Tencent bought 49% of that. So they have a really big stake now in Ubisoft, period, because they own pretty much the parent organization over it. So I think this is just Ubisoft trying to make themselves appealing to as many buyers as possible so that family can retire, take all the money, and pass off the buck to some other owner.
I think, again, what people were mad about is that they didn't show any gameplay for Mirage. And, this whole roadmap thing that they just kind of put on screen, it's just, to me, it's just kind of sloppy and very confusing. It's just sure, maybe this is appealing for an investor, but for, a fan or just a casual gamer, I don't know what any of this means. I mean, again, yeah, we know what Infinity is, but it's just does Nana know what Infinity is? What?
But Nana's not going to buy...
I'm joking. I mean, just casual Joe.
I get what you're saying. I don't know. I guess I didn't expect any more than this. Here's the thing. This kind of thing is very par for the course. This is the type of roadmap you see 343 put out, or Destiny put out, or whatever, game or publisher is putting out stuff in the future. This is what they do now. I'm not saying it's what I like to see, but I'm not shocked by it. Is it disappointing? Sure. But I don't know. I feel like gaming in general has just been kind of disappointing when it comes to the big AAA stuff as of late. So, par for the course.
So if you don't know, codename Red is feudal Japan. Codename Hex is, that's Salem.
Yeah, it looks like Salem Witch. Yeah,
Massachusetts type stuff. Which that's very far in the future, right? Salem is 1800s. I mean, that's not that long ago.
Well,
they must be really going. I know they have the Animus and the future stuff.
Well, not just that, but they did Assassin's Creed 3 was
I guess that was
early
the Revolutionary
America.
War.
So that's
Yeah.
within 50 to 100 years of this probably.
I guess, yeah.
Hmm.
And then Codename Jade is China, or I
Mhm.
think it's China. And then
A Netflix
Partnership,
show.
Netflix show and stuff. So it's just like, I don't know. I just thought it was weird, and I just thought it was fun. And fun. That basically, this is the only thing I thought was interesting from the show,
Mm.
from that entire event. I'm super disappointed because I watched it for an hour and a half, and that was all I
See,
took away.
this
Was
is why
20
I
minutes.
don't watch these events anymore, Chaz. They're not worth
I
it. They're
know.
fluff and build up and hype to a JPEG. So save yourself a couple of hours. It's not worth it. Watch the recap or find the images after they've been posted. My recommendation.
No. All right. Well, that was it. That was all I had to show for that. That was that whole event, if in my opinion. But so you guys had nothing else to say for Disney or nothing? I mean, I'm good on that.
No.
No.
I watched through that whole thing too, and I was super bummed out after watching these two events back to back and doing videos on it, and I was just like, wow, that was a waste of 2 hours.
Speaking
What
of
have we
waste of
learned?
2 hours, we're about to hit the 2 hour mark on our podcast already. We got one more big topic, so
Well, I mean, I'll try and be fast. I mean,
don't believe you. This is
I
the
really
big one
I
that you
so
wanted to talk about.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
fine.
you
It's
got
a show
9
that
episodes to go through.
It's a show that Metal Gamer, you said you didn't watch, so we don't have to spend too much time on it. But I finally got to watch the show WandaVision because I said I wanted to start trying to watch some more Marvel-oriented things. And Phoenix recommended WandaVision, especially coming off of Doctor Strange, which we didn't love, but I think you thought it might be might have good context as to that show, that movie, and
Well,
I don't know.
yeah, I mean, the Doctor Strange movie is basically the follow-up to WandaVision more than anything else. So, like, honestly, if you didn't watch WandaVision, you're going into that Doctor Strange movie with some questions as far as how these characters got to where they are. So you kind of need this context.
But you know what? I have all these notes, but I'm just gonna go off the top of the head. I guess I'll just go. I mean, I very much enjoyed this show. I really enjoyed kind of like the theme that the show had of like going through all of the different like decades of shows on public television and all that stuff was really cool. Kind of them recreating that. I like the artistry of them doing it because I thought they did a really good job between Vision and Scarlet Witch and all the acting and the laugh tracks were all like super fun. I think you were more interested in the older shows, whereas like I really enjoyed when they got to the 80s and 90s decades of recreating.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved, like, because it starts out with, like, a Dick Van Dyke style show, then goes into, like, the I Love Lucy's, and then gets into, just goes through all the decades, which I grew up when I was a kid. Like, I was a Nickelodeon kid, and after, was it 9 p.m., you got Nick at Night, and I would always stay up late and watch I Love Lucy, and, was it Green Acres, and all those crazy old shows, so I have a lot of nostalgia for that.
Yeah, they did like kind of Full Housey type stuff
Yep.
in the 80s and the 90s. They did very much like, oh shoot, what was the show?
Yeah, Malcolm in the Middle style.
Malcolm in the Middle style, yeah.
Yeah, so all those hit me pretty hard because I was into the old style from the Nick at Night, and of course I grew up in the '90s, so yeah, the Malcolm in the Middles and whatnot definitely hit really well. The Modern Family landed a little less for me, but granted, that's still recent enough that it didn't really matter to me. But
Yeah, but just I enjoyed many aspects of it. I mean, I do feel like there were a couple like logical missteps that they had in the show. Again, this is spoilers if you haven't seen WandaVision. Do you care, Metal Gamer, about spoilers? Is this something you
I
wanna
already
watch?
know everything that happened.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah.
But like, honestly, I feel like the events of Doctor Strange could have been, Multiverse of Madness could have been avoided if Vision at the end would have just told Wanda that there was another Vision that basically was just him, and that she still could have had the possibility of living a great life with Vision.
I saw you had that comment. I don't know if that's 100% true though. Like, it's Vision in memory. It's not the same Vision though. Like, he doesn't have the stone. He's not the same Vision. Like, it's like, and that comes down to the whole argument of like, if you just copied someone's brain into, another body, is it still the same person kind of thing? Like, I mean, I'm not saying they couldn't have played it that way, but I also feel like, okay, it's a different robot with his memories, essentially. It doesn't have, was it the Soul Stone that was in his brain? I don't remember which stone it was. It was one of the stones. That was the whole thing that gave Vision life, was that stone. So I don't know. I get what you're saying.
Both of them, right? Or did she have a different stone that gave her powers? I can't remember if it was the same.
It was a
stone.
different
No,
stone.
it's the same stone.
it?
No, that's why they're connected.
Oh,
is because
maybe I'm wrong then.
That's why she was able to recreate him, is because of, she says at the end before he dies again, is she says, I was able to create you because of our connection within the stone, or something.
Maybe I missed that. I don't know. Well, I mean, I don't. So I guess your point though is that, I mean, this impacts the Doctor Strange movie in a bunch of ways. I feel like honestly, if you watch this show, there's so much lost potential once you do watch the Doctor Strange movie. Like,
I agree.
There are things about the WandaVision show that are not perfect. But they took a lot of time and a lot of care to develop Wanda in a way that she hadn't been able to, be developed in the movies prior to that. They took their time. They made her sympathetic at parts. They also made her very crazy, manipulative at parts, and it gave you this back and forth with her where even when she ended, you could tell it was a conflicting thing. Like, she was in the wrong, but they tried to make her sympathetic. There was a lot to that character that I think she could have ended up being a really cool Marvel villain down the line, but I feel like the Doctor Strange movie rushed all this built-up potential for her character just to make her the big bad out of nowhere. Like, she should have been the villain like 3 movies from now. And I think a lot of the subtlety that the WandaVision show tried to add to, start making her go down this negative, dark path, you just lost all of it as soon as the Doctor Strange movie started. Because as soon as they encounter her on the movie, she's evil already. Like, there was no wiggle room there, no other influence. She was just already crazy, psychotic with very little, rational motivation. And that's not how she ended this WandaVision show. But I'm getting way ahead of myself. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good. I guess I'll just say most of my favorite parts of this show were almost all of the scenes that involved Vision and Wanda together, because much of this show is Vision piecing together things and kind of investigating as to what's going on, why he exists, what his purpose is, how they get where they're at. And almost all of my favorite parts were the couple scenes where he approaches her and is pressing her on maybe the best scene I think of the show is where he finally realizes that what she's doing, because he talks to one of his coworkers or something, and he frees his mind up, and that guy's you have to stop her and all that stuff. And that scene where he approaches her and is what you're doing is wrong here, and she, there's pushback, and they almost fly in the air and almost start fighting and stuff.
And there's a fun tone the whole time too. The first half of the show or more, it has this really eerie kind of unsettling feel that has this cool juxtaposition with the happy-go-lucky 50s, 60s, 70s style TV show where everything's all happy, everything wraps up nice and clean at the end, but then there's these weird, just eerie threads that pop up. It's kind of these dark mysteries throughout each episode, so it's really fun to kind of track those down. You can argue how successful all those little hints they drop are, but it was fun. And I think for the most part, it paid off pretty well up until, I think, the very end of the show. I mean, how did you feel about how things kind of wrapped up?
I didn't particularly care for it. I mean, I feel like they had to make the Agnes character serve some sort of purpose. So they gave her, because I think in the comics she serves as a actual teacher of Wanda, whereas in this they have her more as a villain.
I don't know a lot about her character.
In the comics, she's more of a tutor. She's a senior witch and teaches Wanda how to do all these different things. And they kind of still have that in the show, where that's how Wanda beats her in the end, is by recreating the runes on the bubble.
I feel like she's got some ties to Mephisto too. She's more nefarious than, I think, just being a teacher.
She does, but I think she does both. She is evil, but she is very helpful to Wanda. But I mean, overall, the ending was fine. It felt it was a little anticlimactic. I felt like it didn't have a big grand battle or.
Well, it turned into kind of the standard Marvel CG showcase where they just fly around, shoot magic lasers at each other, and I don't know. I think this show didn't need that. It didn't need to have the big battle at the end. Like they could have done something far more subtle, a little more thoughtful. Like I didn't need to see a witch battle. I would have rather seen like a more cunning kind of outsmarting of the other enemy that played better to I think the strengths of these characters. But I think they just wanted to kind of show how powerful the Scarlet Witch was, and they kind of went down that route. And of course, they wanted the Vision versus Vision battle. But
That was cool. I like that scene.
yeah. I don't know. I think this show probably faltered the most whenever it got MCU-y, if that makes sense. When they started like tying in the other MCU, like third string characters, like the.
See, that's where I felt like the show dipped. That's
what I'm saying. That's where it lost itself.
Oh, I thought you said that's where it got good. I was like,
no. When it like the premise of it isn't bad. Like, okay, so there's people watching from the outside trying to realize what's going on, but sometimes that was played, I think, a little too lighthearted, or just, I don't know, kind of missed a few steps in there. I didn't like they brought in the, what's her face? The, I'm losing her name. From Thor.
Kat, I think it's Kat Dennings.
Yeah. I don't really care for her character too much here, but,
I felt like you were saying, that was the weakest part of the show, was everything taking place outside the bubble. Everything in the bubble, I was awesome.
How'd you feel about, I don't remember her first name, but the Rambo character?
I actually didn't realize, but yeah, she's like
She's the daughter.
She's the daughter of the girl in Marvel, Captain Marvel. She's that lady's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And her mother in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness is that Captain Marvel. I don't know, the way they kind of connect everything is so like...
So, for a second, just think about this, kind of go into the Doctor Strange. So, in WandaVision, basically, Captain Marvel's best friend's daughter ends up being, like, her friend, her ally in this show that is sympathetic with her. He's like, they'll have no idea what you gave up and sacrificed. Like, she is an ally in that situation. And then the next time we see Wanda, she's flying to another universe to kill that lady's mom, essentially, without any remorse or second thought. Like, because that's what she does. The Captain Marvel in that other universe is, what, Maria Rambeau? Is that her name or whatever?
Photon Rambeau is the founder of S.W.O.R.D.
I don't know if that's the daughter or the mom. Either way, she kills the lady's mom, essentially, in another universe. It just, I don't know. It goes to just how off the Doctor Strange movie was. They didn't take any of this build-up, the nuances that they tried to, build with these character relationships. Instead, they just threw it all away so they could have cool moments. I've read something, and I wish I could have found the article, but I guess the writer of the Doctor Strange movie, they weren't initially supposed to use Scarlet Witch as the main villain. That was supposed to be something they teased and built up, but this guy didn't want to let the other Avengers movie have the cool villain with Scarlet Witch, so he basically just stole her for this movie and said, I'm going to use her as my main villain, and wasted all the potential setup that Scarlet Witch could have had down the line, just so he could shove her in the movie and have a couple of cool moments with her, which ultimately I think fell flat, which that makes me sad. So
Yeah.
if that's true, as I read that somewhere, and certainly go and fact check me, but that would not surprise me if that is a true statement.
Mm-hmm. But I don't know. I guess kind of really thinking about it, there were other characters. I didn't really like the Agnes character.
You didn't like her? Like, you didn't like the way she was portrayed, or you didn't like the... I thought she was fine.
I like the actor. I don't know. I didn't find her an intimidating threat to Wanda. I mean...
I think that really is... I don't think it's an issue with the character for most of the show. Like, I think for, 80% of it, they built her up well enough. I think it's just where they didn't stick the landing with her. Like, you're right, they didn't make her powerful, but they didn't really demonstrate her power. They just all of a sudden made Wanda super amazing, awesome, and that kind of overpowered everything. So I don't think it was an issue so much with that character. It's just them kind of not sticking the landing with making... That's what I wish they wouldn't have done the battle. I wish they would have found like a thinking man's way of them conflicting. I think that would have made her more intimidating, and it probably would have helped Wanda seem more capable if they could have come with a better way.
Maybe they made that decision to counterbalance the fight between Vision and White Vision, because that's almost exactly what happened with that fight, is that they were duking it out at first, and then because they're both like intellectual robots, then that scene's awesome because it ends with them having like a sophisticated conversation as to like, because White Vision, his whole purpose is he must kill Vision, but then the dead Vision is having like this sophisticated talk of like, well, am I the real Vision?
Yeah, they do
What?
paradoxical stuff.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like that whole scene of them like communicating and Vision like, I don't know, like, but you get what I'm saying. Where like maybe they don't want to have like the same type of
It didn't have to be
conclusion.
the same, but here's the thing too, like with their witchy powers, they could have like done some mental kind of stuff where they went into like these mental realms and like where there's just a better way to have done that. I don't know.
Like with Mysterio and Spider-Man in the second.
Yeah, or
one.
even like kind of how they started to do in the Doctor Strange movie with Professor X trapped in that weird mental zone with the trapped incarnation of Wanda. Like they could have done something like that, and then that could have played off into the Doctor Strange movie because we will have seen that kind of mental realm stuff represented. So I don't know. There are just better ways they could have stuck the landing on it. I don't think it was terrible. I know some people just straight up hate the ending to WandaVision. I think it was just fine. It definitely was not the strongest point. But I don't know. I liked the show overall, and it seems like you have a similar take on it.
I liked it. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like there were a couple wasted elements. Like one more I can think of is how they utilized Quicksilver. I didn't think he was kind of. I don't think he kind of fit in there all that well.
That was
And it didn't
right
really
around
make
the time that they had bought Fox, so I think that was more of a nod towards that.
But I mean, just in the show, it just they didn't quite find a way to make it make sense. So it wasn't Quicksilver. It just happened to be some guy that looks like Quicksilver that Agatha found in a house and used him, and he happened to look exactly like her brother. I don't understand because
Well,
it was an actual guy
that
she
was
took over.
You know that's the Quicksilver from the X-Men movies, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what
But
I'm saying. Like, I understand what you're saying, but that was clearly just a nod to the fact that Disney had just bought Fox.
No, I'm getting what you're saying, but I'm saying that still though.
You didn't like that, is what you're saying.
I didn't like it's like so Agatha found a guy that happened to look exactly like no, but
He didn't look exactly like her. That's the point. That was the weird thing about it. He didn't look like her version of Quicksilver. But he was a Quicksilver from a different universe.
that happened to be in that town that they
Yeah, because technically in every universe there is that person. Like, I mean, it's convenient, but
I'm saying he happened to be in that town that she took over.
yeah,
The
okay.
one
All these
alternate
movies
universe.
have conveniences, though. And here's the thing. I can let go of, lucky, happy coincidence things for a fun nod. And that, to me, was a fun nod. I don't feel like it broke the story too much. Yeah, it was a little convenient, but it was a fun moment that I think was worth enjoying as it was. But I think the issue is you can take that to an extreme, right? And I feel like that's like what the Doctor Strange movie did. They had lots of conveniences and lots of weird kind of uncanny things that happened, but they didn't feel earned. They weren't just placed in there as a fun little, hey, look, we just got Reed Richards in. They wasted potential because they threw all these characters in there and didn't take the time to build them up or use them appropriately.
All right, but yeah, I guess that was my overall thoughts. I enjoyed the show. I'm looking forward to starting something else. I mean, you suggested what, Loki I should move on to?
Yeah, I mean, I have my issues with Loki, but there's definitely some fun spots with it. I think that's the last Marvel show I watched I actually kind of enjoyed. I went through Hawkeye, and that did not do it
I heard
for
that
me.
one was not great.
It was just kind of dull. What was there was one more that came out.
The Winter Soldier and Falcon.
Yeah, I did not like that one either. That one was a little too preachy for me.
Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi's a movie.
Oh, it's a movie?
Yeah.
Oh.
I feel like there was another show that's slipping my mind at the moment. But yeah, Loki's at least fun. I think I enjoyed it more at the time too because it was just starting to touch on kind of the multi-dimensional stuff, so that was still kind of interesting. That probably feels a little more played out now after other shows have now done it in other movies. But it has its fun moments.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe I'll start Loki. I don't know. Let me know down in the comments. For once. I had to throw that in there. But yeah, so I guess that's it. I mean, I'll move on to Loki. We got somewhat God of War 3, hopefully by the next time we will be able to talk about on the next episode. So Metal Gamer, how'd you enjoy it? Did you like being on the podcast?
Oh, this is very fun. I like listening to you guys talk and having your opinions on
Well,
certain
you
things
gotta,
that I don't have any
you
opinion.
gotta throw
in.
your opinion out there. Just come
Oh
up with
no,
stuff.
yeah, I could come up with stuff.
You seem so shy. We'll work on that. You'll be more enthusiastic next time.
There's a problem when I'm not the shy one. I seem like the more energetic, I guess. Not energetic. What is
You still don't.
social?
No,
More social.
you're not that energetic.
Off the camera, you guys are the more social ones, I'm sure.
Always.
All right, well, I guess that'll do it for this week of the ChazmaN podcast. As always, we'd love to hear back. I mean, down in the comments, let us know what you thought about any of these shows or games or events.
Please, someone write something. Make Chaz feel good.
Oh, I'm gonna keep saying it until it happens. We're talking into existence. What are you guys are still doing here? You need to get down in the basement.
All right, I'm going.
I'm gonna crawl back into my duct.
That's his run. That's Phoenix's running joke. He's been saying that. I don't know if he's trying to gain sympathy or turn my fan base against me.
Oh, one of them.
Oh, one of
Enter Phoenix, man. What?
Next week, that's the new logo.
no. All right, guys. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. We love you. Please be safe, and we cannot wait to see you on next week's ChazmaN. Phoenix said we're not going to miss that week, right, Phoenix?
Oh, yeah, because, we're super consistent with these. We never miss a week, ever.
No, correct. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Adios.